Hey everybody, tonight we're debating flat Earth versus globe Earth, and we are starting right now with our globe Earth presentation from Mctune on the left side of your screen. Thanks so much for being here, Mctune. The floor is all yours.
Right. Thank you very much, James. Well, I have a screen to share. I just hit that right now so you can do what you do with that so people can see it. On a flat surface, a triangle has 180 degrees. On a surface that is spherical, a triangle has more than 180 degrees. It must have more than 180 degrees. You're looking right here on Wolfram.com has some description about a spherical triangle. The amount of the triangle in degrees that's over 180 degrees is called the spherical excess. So if we were to measure a triangle on the shape of the Earth and find that it's more than 180 degrees, that would point very strongly to the Earth being spherical rather than being flat. Now, you would want to repeat that over and over and over again to make sure that they're all equally spherical instead of some sort of a lumpy sphericalness. Now, this does not get affected by topography or elevation changes. It is outside of that when you do, because you're only measuring horizontal angles. So if it's up or down, it doesn't matter. It is out of there. So these things have been done. I have on my website at mctune.net/SE a whole bunch of information about spherical excess, including at the bottom here, 5 different very detailed surveys where the individual spherical excess measurements are included in them. You can download every one of them, have a look at them for yourself. The critical thing is that these surveys were very successful surveys. They were used to measure different things. And for example, the size of the United States. It is the official United States government information about the size of the states. If they were wrong, people would know because it would get drastically wrong. So I'll show you, this is one called the principal arc of the meridian of the parallel of the oblique arcs. It's a big fancy name, but here is an example of one of the pages in the book where it shows all these different triangles that they measured. And here is the actual raw data. If you look here at any one of these particular triangles, number 1, we'll just start right there. If you look over in that column to the right that I've highlighted in blue, you can see the column that says spherical excess. And that particular triangle has an excess of 57 arc seconds, 57 arc seconds, which is just under 1 arc minute, which is about 1/60th of a degree over 180 degrees. Now, these particular measurements are accurate to 3 digits behind the decimal point on arc seconds. So they're extremely precise measurements. The margin of error of all of these is the same. And you can see over and over and over again, these triangles all have a spherical excess. Now, is the spherical excess changing? So like maybe it's not spherical, but instead it's somehow an goofy shape. It's all lumpy and stuff like that. We can then take the trig, and we can do some trig on that, right? So if you see right here, solving for r, I did a little bit of math. I'm not going to get into it. It's all laid out on my website here, mctune.net/SE, including a mathematical proof by the good Dr. Clive Wells. If you want to look at that, there you go, a little taste of some of the math proof he did there. You can take this formula, you can plug it into plug in the sides of the triangle and the angles of the triangle into this spherical trigonometric function and find out the radius of the object that it's sitting on. I've done that for bunches of these different measured triangles and put them all into this spreadsheet that you can look at, you can download, you can analyze it yourself. And we've found that the radius of all these is very much in line with each other. In fact, when you take all the averages of these, you get 6,375 kilometers for the radius of the Earth. This is not an assumption. This is not the number that this particular survey claimed. This is purely by analyzing the measured triangles that they did in this particular survey. That confirms the shape of the thing we live on is a sphere. And there you go.
Thank you very much, Mctune, for that opening statement. And want to let you know, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are a neutral channel hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And we want to let you know, we hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you are from, whether you be a globe earth proponent, flat earth proponent, you name it, we're thrilled to have you here. And so we will kick it over to Ryan for his opening statement. Ryan, thanks so much for being here with us. It's a true pleasure to have you. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, James and MC. Appreciate you guys having me. It's last minute, so we're gonna do our best, or at least I'll do my best. This is my first time for anybody watching. This is my first time doing a YouTube anything, so bear with me. When it comes to the research I've been doing for the past 5 years or so, I've found it's best to use the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. When it comes to looking at observable phenomenon, observable, measurable distances, heights, elevations, basically it comes down to, for me, things that are globe killers for me are we see too far, water doesn't curve, ships don't disappear over the horizon, the same old things, and I hate to call them the same old things, but the truth is, when they keep coming around they keep coming around for a reason. It's because they're simple, they're testable, they're observable, they're repeatable, and they're, at some point, I guess they're still disputable because we're all here tonight. But as I don't call myself a flat earther so much as I prefer the term globe skeptic. I don't profess to have a model of anything. I am questioning the model I was presented. And so, as far as, lots, I've heard many people make demands for models. As I've examined the globe model, there are so many different versions of it, projections, topographies, depends on if you're looking for distance this way or country size on this map or distances on that map. There isn't one consistent model that demonstrates any of the claims of globe math. And so when it comes to math, again, I kind of fall back on the Tesla quote, which I'm going to butcher, I'm sure, which basically says that these days science and math has gone so far down its own rabbit hole that we just build equation upon equation upon equation until we get lost in the meaning of it and has no relevance to physical reality anymore. So I'm not often swayed by fancy math without photographic evidence or backup. Things that I focus on are, like I said, long-term distances, ships over the horizon. One of the things that is my personal favorite is, of course, long-distance viewing over flat water, over flat bodies of water. There's laser test after laser test. The Nat Geo experiment that they did with everyone was a complete farce. And even then, they still failed to show curvature. So really, I don't know. This is a terrible opening statement. I don't know if I'm supposed to be presenting an idea or just asking questions. I'm not really sure what you're looking for me as far as the debate. I haven't done a debate since 8th grade high school. So, forgive me for completely screwing up the format here, with apologies to MC as well. I don't know. I guess that's all I have.
You got it. Thank you very much, Ryan. And with that, we'll jump into open conversation. Want to let you know a couple of things. Folks, we are absolutely thrilled that Modern Day Debate is available on podcast, as you see on the far right side of your screen. And also, folks, our guests are linked in the description, whether you're listening via YouTube or if you happen to be listening via the Modern Day Debate podcast, we also put our guest links in the description box there as well. Ryan doesn't currently have a channel, so there is no link for Ryan at the moment. However, Mctune is linked in the description box, and as I mentioned, that's for both. Pardon my audio, folks, a little bit wonky today, but that's for both YouTube and on the Modern Day Debate podcast. With that, gentlemen, thanks so much. The floor is all yours for open dialogue.
All right. Well, I took notes, but you made a few claims, but didn't have any support for it. So how about you said we see too far. Could you pull up a see too far example?
On my computer? Or just out of...
somewhere, somehow,
sure,
if you're going to say we see too far.
Sure, like the basic Chicago skyline from 58 miles away on a clear day with appropriate humidity.
I need to see the latitude, longitude of where the picture was taken, as well as the elevation. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Are you not familiar with the Chicago skyline picture I'm talking about?
I am. I've done the math. It's no problem with the math. So
really?
Yeah. I don't think
miles.
My guess is you've not done the math.
Oh, I've done the math. Like I said, I'm just I don't have a lot of stuff with me, so I'm just shooting from pure memory. So elevation height.
How about this? How about we get the distance. I'll give you the predicted globe amount of obstruction of the bottom, and you give the predicted flat Earth obstruction of the bottom, and then we'll compare to see which is more accurate.
For example, go ahead with an example. What you mean?
So if you say it's at a certain distance, then I'll take that distance to the elevation and put it into the globe math, the correct globe calculations. And you do the same for flat Earth. You say, well, according to flat Earth, a certain amount of the bottom of something should be obstructed. And then we'll compare to see which one is closer to the amount of obstruction.
Well, I think obstruction is a moot point because it happens on a flat model and a globe model. So,
well, yeah. So you, yeah.
Hold on one sec, just to be sure that he got to finish that point. Okay. Mctune.
No, that kind of falls into the category as far as obstruction over distance goes. It falls into the basket of works on both models.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if it works, then you tell us how plug it into the flat Earth bottom up obstruction calculator to find out how much, according to the flat Earth model that you said, how much of it should be obstructed. And I'll do the same for the globe, and then we can compare.
Well, again, I don't want to lean on globe Earth model term. The point that obstruction happens whether you're on a curved surface or a flat surface, to me makes it so. How do I want to put this? Like, if the globe model is true, then there shouldn't be any reasonable objection to disproving claims of it, such as ships on the horizon, distance over flat water over long distances. If the globe model says that it should definitely happen at 8 inches per mile squared,
no, it doesn't.
Plus
that's
elevation,
wrong math. That's fine. Absolutely
then,
wrong math.
Whether the math is wrong or not, if you can do that same experiment using any other method, then it doesn't matter how far you can see on a flat world. By having two different ways to see that far or prove those distances, then it makes the surface irrelevant. Because if it can be done on a flat model or a flat experiment as well as on a curved experiment,
yes,
and the curved experiment isn't the only guy in the room, and he has to be the only one in the room that can do his trick. If anyone else can repeat his trick, then he's not the only guy, so it's not the only show in town. Does that make sense?
It seems to me that you do not want to provide a mechanism to predict or somehow describe the amount that should be hidden over a flat surface. It should be pretty easy. You should just be able to say, oh, here's how we know how much should be hidden from 58 miles on flat Earth.
Why should we know that? I guess my question is, the globe is the one that says we should be able to see so far or not to be able to see so far.
Well, so flat Earth says we should, far as I know, since there's nothing obstructing it, and something above a flat surface can't obstruct something above a flat surface, according to all the physics I know. but you may disagree. So then you could provide the physics and the way to predict the amount hidden over flat surface. Then we can just compare, right? There's two models. We have two hypotheses. Let's test both.
But we don't have two models. We have a globe model that claims to be a model, and I am a globe skeptic challenging that model.
Oh,
and so
see,
if I see measurements happen to someone else might have 4 different ways to measure distance, but the globe should be the only one able to do it. And if anyone else can repeat the trick
I've never seen it not happen. So all you need to do is just find the example that you think is the one that disproves the globe, and then we'll do it. We'll test it.
If there was one example that disproved the globe, the debate would be over.
I know there's never been one, and so that's why the debate is silly, right? But if you could just provide one where you think we can see too far, we can test it right now.
Well, I don't have the ability to share screens. I could hold up like memes on my phone, but that doesn't seem productive. That's why I'm trying to use examples that if anyone who's been involved in this debate for any length of time is familiar with standard examples that are used by both sides. That's why I was going to the Chicago skyline. I mean, so for example, long distance record photographs that are taken even from mountaintops, we're seeing 300, 400, 500 miles when we shouldn't be able to see anything. We're seeing things that should be below
again,
mile of temperature.
It seems to me that you've never actually done the math, because you said 8 inches per mile squared minus the elevation, which is absolutely the wrong way to do it.
Well, if I said minus the elevation, I was just misspeaking out of nerves.
Okay.
But
so how do you think
8 inches per mile squared?
How do you think is the correct way to use to predict the amount hidden on the globe?
Well, the formula that the globe provides is 8 inches per mile squared.
Wrong.
No.
That's not my claim. So don't strawman me. That's not my claim.
That's not my claim either. The
okay.
globe.
I'll tell you my claim. How about I'll tell you how to calculate the amount hidden on the globe. You tell me, you can't tell me the amount hidden on over a flat surface. So you lose coming out right away, but I'll tell you the correct way to predict the amount hidden.
Tell me the claims of the globe, because that's the...
Well, yeah, but you're coming with the wrong one. I'm telling you it's the wrong one, and you're telling me that I'm not right about my own model. Okay.
So 8 inches per mile squared isn't a thing?
That is the wrong way to predict the amount hidden.
Let me guess, is there refraction involved in...
there's always refraction involved, especially over low elevation.
Refraction is an assumed effect anyways. There is no definite refraction. It's always standard refraction.
Mctune.net/refraction has many measured empirical measurements of the effects of refraction over low elevation.
Of course, refraction has effects over low elevation, but it's also affected by humidity, time of day, time of year, temperature of the air.
Sure. So you'd want to get all of those things, for
which
sure.
Means that so to use a formula, if it involves standard refraction,
I don't use standard refraction. So I will put into the chat for you to see, as well as everybody else to see, the correct formula to calculate the amount hidden. There it is. It's not 8 inches per mile squared, because 8 inches per mile squared has no way of including the observer height. The observer height is absolutely necessary to know how much is hidden. So there it is. It's H equals R over cosine. I'm not going to go over the whole thing there. It's in the chat. So that's the correct way to do it. Assuming zero refraction, then you plug in the previously measured radius of the Earth, which I already presented, the measurements of the radius of the Earth.
Again, now, the radius of the measure. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I already presented the measurements of the radius of the Earth that we can, I mean, if you want, we can address that later. But then if you know the refraction, like for example, if you measured the lapse rate, then you know it, and you can get the effects of the refraction, and you can include that in the formula. If you don't know the amount of refraction, then you can only guess based on the conditions, and you're going to get a range, and your margin of error is going to be big. but you can do that and have a range, right? So since the Josh Nowicki photograph of the Chicago skyline doesn't have any measured lapse rate, we don't know the actual coefficient of refraction. So we only can guess, and we can look at mctune.net/refraction to look at some of the other things that have been measured, look at the same conditions, time of day and temperature of water, temperature of air, and you can get a range. Now, when you do that, all of the Joshua Nowicki photographs completely match. What never matches, though, for flat Earth is that you don't see Lakeshore Drive. What's blocking?
I'm not sure what Lakeshore Drive is.
It's the drive that goes right along the lake, all the way across the Chicago skyline.
So from 58 miles away, for that to work, you want to be able to see the pebbles on the pavement at ground level.
No, you should see for flat Earth because there's nothing obstructing it, and no flat earther has ever presented an actual physics explanation for why something would be obstructed when there's nothing in the way. You should see Lakeshore Drive right there. It's not on the beach.
With angular reduction taken into account, from 58 miles away, you should be able to see the ground, Lakeshore Drive.
You should see. Yeah, well, they're taken at night, so you should see the lights from the cars, the headlights from the cars, and the street lights that go along there, and the bottoms of the floors of all the buildings there. Since there's no obstruction, there's nothing in the way.
You're claiming that there's no obstruction.
For flat Earth, there would be nothing in the way, right?
No,
if you said
disappear from the bottom up, no matter what.
Well, then why? Why does that happen if there's nothing in the way?
Because that's how angular resolution works.
Go ahead.
Angular resolution.
Present how that works.
The only thing I could present is the basic intro to art courses I took in high school.
Sorry, this is physics, not art. This is physics, not art.
Well, it's still basic perspective. Everything comes to a focal point along the horizon line.
Yeah, but in art, you don't draw things that are too small to see. But in reality, it's still there. If there's light emanating from it, you still see it with your eye. So if there's light,
the human eye can only resolve to 0.02 degrees.
Resolve detail, but the light is still there. It doesn't make it invisible. It makes that the detail is not resolvable. That's resolution. You said resolve. That's correct.
Yeah.
You can't resolve the detail if it's too small. But if there's light coming from it, you still see the light. If it's too small, you see a point light, but you still see light. It doesn't disappear.
But you're assuming that you can see infinite distance on a flat surface and things.
No. I'm assuming that you can see 58 miles, not infinite. 58 miles. If you can see the skyscraper, the top of the skyscraper, which is farther away from you than the bottom of the skyscraper, then you should absolutely see the bottom of the skyscraper because there's nothing blocking your view.
There is things blocking your view. The perspective is blocking your view.
Perspective doesn't block view.
Hold on. We might have to break it into 3-minute intervals just to keep it controlled. We'll let it keep going because it's not too bad, but just got to let you guys know, just to hear from both of you.
Yeah, present the physics for how perspective makes things disappear.
For example, if I go to Home Depot and set up a stack of 4 bricks at the opposite end of the building, walk all the way across, 400 yards away, if that 100 yards away, and drop my camera all the way to ground level, the bottom bricks on that stack will disappear from view. You can zoom in.
We'll present this. Go ahead. I don't believe you.
Well, like I said, I don't have anything.
So then don't make claims that you can't support. How about that?
Okay. All right. That's fine. I'm just trying to use common sense because
common sense says nothing's in the way, nothing will be obstructed. That's common sense.
Common sense says that things disappear from the bottom up no matter what. You can do it on a tabletop, you can do it in your driveway, you can do it at Home Depot, you can do it across a lake, you can do it down a highway, you can do it down a train track.
Common sense doesn't say that at all.
Well,
there's nothing in the way.
The term common sense isn't as common or sensible.
But you see, there's nothing in the way. So there's no physics to support your claim at all. Because
there are plenty of things in the way.
If there's nothing,
you keep saying there's nothing in the way.
One sec. I want to give. Let's give Mctune, Mctune, sorry, 2 minutes, Mctune, and then we'll kick it back over to Rand for 2 minutes.
If there's nothing in the way, there's nothing in the way to block it. So on the bottom, the all the way across the shoreline of Chicago, you can't see on any of the Joshua Nowicki photos, you don't see the bottoms, you don't see Lakeshore Drive, yet there's nothing in the way. There's nothing blocking it. There's nothing blocking it, right? If this is your hypothesized flat water, and you've got something over here, and you're up here on a sand dune 50 feet, 80 feet up, there's nothing between here and the camera to stop you from seeing what's there.
Okay, we're not talking about 50 feet up on a sand dune. We're talking at sea level, at ground level, camera height, observer height, 6 feet or so.
That wasn't Joshua Nowicki. Do you have a different
I'll give you another 60 seconds, Ryan, and then we'll kick it back over to Mctune for that first one. By Mctune is about a minute and a half, so we'll do minute and a half intervals. So you got about.
Fair enough. So I guess you keep saying that there's nothing in the way, but you're not taking into account any kind of atmospheric lensing, atmospheric density, anything like that.
Present the physics.
One sec, just to give him the same 1 minute and a half that we gave you, Mctune.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to be presenting physics tonight because I just came to have a regular debate using common sense, because that's how easy it is to dismantle the globe. It's common sense. It's so obvious and easy to see that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so there's no amount of physics that you're going to throw at me that's going to say, oh, he converted me in an hour. He converted me back to the globe. The problem is that I already was a globe earther. I grew up believing that and thinking that. So I've already gone and challenged my belief system and have not replaced it with anything. I've now just left it open-ended. And so my quest isn't to prove what it is. It's more to know what it isn't.
Gotcha.
And so we're kind of getting sidetracked onto the Chicago skyline. That's partially my fault as well, because there's many things that we can talk about. And if I change the subject, I'm just going to get accused of changing the subject. And so we're basically going in circles around.
It's about a minute and a half.
Far. Yeah. So yeah, kind of going in circles here around the seeing too far, because you continue to ask me for things that I've already said and that I'm not going to be able to provide tonight.
Let's give it. I'm going to switch it over to Mctune just to have it roughly match for time. So Mctune, you got about 2 minutes.
All right. Well, a fundamental part of flat Earth is getting details wrong. So here is right here where Joshua Nowicki took the picture was not at sea level. It was 108 feet from the top of the dune, right? So 180 feet, sorry. So it is not from the water level, right? And never do flat earthers ever take into account the details, right? They just say, well, it must have been from a certain level, but it's not. It's always wrong. So get your details right before you start talking about stuff. It seems like you are convinced by lack of detail and lack of critical thinking on how to actually analyze stuff, because you talked about 8 inches per mile squared. If you've been in this for 5 years, you've not been paying attention, because that's the wrong formula.
Okay, we'll give you the same.
Yeah. Oh, are you done? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Based on the alleged circumference of the ball, 8 inches per mile squared measures arcs, which for the purposes of long distance viewing for 100 miles or less, it is definitely acceptable to use 8 inches per mile squared for distances like we're talking about with Chicago.
And how do you take into account, using that formula, where do you plug in the observer height? Exactly. It's not in the formula. The formula I gave you has the observer height.
I know. And
okay, so stop using that. It's a lie.
Okay.
Robotham introduced that 100 and some years ago. It's a lie. It doesn't tell you.
Robotham introduced that?
Yes, Robotham introduced that. I read his book. Okay. It's a lie that has nothing to do with the amount hidden. It is something that surveyors use in very specific use cases, but never to predict the amount hidden. The formula I gave you is the correct formula to predict the amount hidden. Use the radius of the Earth that I already previously identified as a measurement that was done. Okay?
The radius is based on assumptions, though.
No. No. You didn't pay attention to what I said. None of my presentation had any assumptions about the shape of the Earth.
No, okay? they were just kind of
give you about 2 minutes to respond, Ryan.
Sorry.
We'll give you a chance to respond. Ryan will give you about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, which is about the same that Mctune had.
Right now?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Go. Sorry. So you're talking about the example that you used before with your spherical triangles, and when you said, and you do this measurement at these different locations, 6, 7, or 8 locations, and when you do those, it comes out, and the measured radius or the factored radius, the calculated radius, matches what we expect to see of the Earth. That it is exactly or close to what the model predicts. The problem is that the radius that the model predicts is itself an assumption based on distances to Venus and distances to this and that, and using what is the radius? It's distance to Venus and distance to Sun with the angles multiplied to each other, but both distances are assumed. So the question is, how do you initially come up with the radius for the Earth to even compare it to the mathematics that you get from those spherical triangle surveying experiments that you identified earlier?
Gotcha. We'll kick it over to Mctune for 2 minutes.
All right. Well, I'm sharing it again since you didn't pay attention. I assume nothing at all. These triangles, these spherical triangles, were measured. They were more than 180 degrees, every single one of them. That absolutely defeats the possibility that the surface of the Earth could be flat. No question about it, because they're not 180 degrees. Every one of them is more than 180 degrees. This spreadsheet here, assuming nothing, I put the 3 sides of the triangle in, the 3 angles of the triangle into the formula to get the radius if you have a triangle, right? That's all it is. It outputs the radius. It does not assume the radius. It outputs the radius. The radius was calculated based on the measurements to be 6,375 miles. That is not assuming anything. It has nothing to do with Venus. It has nothing to do with anybody else's measurement, just these spherical triangles that were measured, empirical measurements of the triangle. So if you're going to address this evidence, I would love that, and not to deflect to some other evidence.
Well, I'm not familiar with spherical triangles, so when you were explaining it at the outset, I will admit I was trying to keep up with what you were explaining, but you did mention something about how elevation didn't matter, or you were saying how, like, it doesn't matter how high or whatever, it's just the distances. Could you re-explain that just to help me understand how you were describing the how the experiment is set up to begin with?
Sure. It's just a measurement, right? It's not.
Or sorry, how the measurements are set up.
Experiment. So surveyors use these theodolites. They do these either from some sort of a tall platform or from a mountaintop or something so that they can identify where they're at and they can find the other points. And they use horizontal measurements. They don't use vertical measurements. So it's called an azimuth, right? It's just a left to right measurement. Mm-hmm. And so they'll measure from one survey point, a station that they're at. They'll measure from to one point at another survey station to another point on a survey station. They'll measure that angle.
And how far were they in this measurement? How far were those first 2 points from each other?
Well, the triangles in general are multiple kilometers, some of them more than 100 kilometers in size, right? So each side of them is more or less than 100 kilometers. On the East Coast, they were smaller because they don't have as many peaks. Like on the West Coast, they do it across the Rocky Mountains, and they had higher peaks to use. But it doesn't matter. Every one of them, when you add up the degrees, in the triangle add to more than 180 degrees. And it's just the left right. It's not the vertical measurement. So you don't, the topography doesn't change it. You just get the left to right.
So I guess I take some issue with that, because even at 100 kilometers, which is what, around 60 miles or so, there is no curvature obstructing the view from each theodolite to itself, just while they're taking the measurement.
Yeah, they're on peaks or high. They build stations if they can't have a hilltop or a mountaintop. They actually build, and you can see they have pictures in this book of these structures they build.
So when we're measuring to test for flatness, we have to do it at ground level and taking observer's height. But when they're measuring 60 miles across,
they're measuring something else.
Sorry?
They're measuring something other than what you were trying to measure. They're measuring a triangle, a horizontal.
But they're
triangle.
Still made up of 3 straight lines, right? Like connecting each other. Right. So what is obstructing their view? If nothing is obstructing these things from seeing each other, that itself tells you that they can see too far.
No, none of them are seeing too far. Please address the actual evidence. They're on mountaintops or hilltops or on a tall structure that they built. There's nothing in the way.
I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. It seems like such a secular logic.
Maybe you should actually do some research on your own.
Yeah.
These things have been done for centuries, right? You didn't know about it because your Papa Flurf didn't tell you about it. Because he didn't know about it.
That's an unfair ad hominem attack. That's not a debate.
That you have a Papa Flurf?
Whatever that word means, it sounds insulting. So yeah.
Okay.
That's not part of a debate. I don't know what that means, but it sounds insulting.
So, but somebody didn't tell you these things when you could have looked into them. Why didn't you look into them?
Maybe.
Why didn't you look into the thousands of times that the Earth has been measured by surveyors?
Let's give him a chance to actually answer the question.
Maybe I just haven't gotten that far yet to get to debunking every single thing on the globe model. Again, it's the globe that has things to prove. So I don't know if we want to spend this whole debate talking about the long distance, and I feel like I'm the one who brought it up. And so I've definitely painted myself into a corner here. So I don't know what to tell you. I'll tell you. I'm not a physics expert. I just have common sense. You know, the things that I was told about the globe, about ships disappearing over the horizon, which is long distance over water. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm changing the subject, just kind of including that in my trajectory, if you will. When I'm told that I shouldn't be able to see after this far, and I zoom in with my own camera when I go out to the beach, to Long Beach, and zoom in on things that I shouldn't be able to see, that just puts doubt in my mind. And that's the problem with the globe in general, I guess, is that there's just too much room for doubt, that it does not seem like a slam dunk to me. Every time I see one proof that makes me want to go look deeper into a claim or an evidence or a proof, I've got 5 more that are like, yeah, well, what about this? I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense either. Again, I will give you points if you want for being the experienced debater who's bringing out these measurements of spherical triangles and stuff. So good on you for that. And I'm just choking. I'm straight up choking. Nerves are getting the better of me, and I don't have any proficiency in presenting data on a screen or anything. I'm a common sense guy, and common sense is telling me that fancy numbers, fancy math, this is how people obscure truths or get confused and convince themselves of things that are not real. And when, you know, I'm going to have to use an anecdote because I can't present anything. I have a friend in North Carolina, and she was standing on the beach the other day, and she took a picture of an island that was 12 miles away, and she was standing at this height, and I could say all that, and you'd be like, show me the picture, and I'd be like, I can't. And you'd be like, okay, you lose. So I don't really quite know where to go from here. because all I have is stories, and all I have is my observations. And if I feel like if I bring anything else up without addressing this spherical triangle thing, then I'm just going to be accused of changing the subject. So I'll leave it up to you where you want to go from here.
All right. Well, here's the deal.
Because I guess that's the only thing that you brought up as proof, and so we don't.
I limited it to one topic so that we.
Fair enough.
I didn't overflow you with other things. I mean, I could do plenty others. So let me ask you a couple things then. Number one, don't use 8 inches per mile squared as a way to predict the amount hidden. That's not our model. That has nothing to do with amount hidden. So I sent you that formula. And if you want, I can send it to you again because it's in this chat. That'll go away, right? Use that one. Number one. Number two, the effects of refraction have been quantified, and it changes the arc of the light. It doesn't travel straight. It has a curve to the ray of light, right? So if you do those two things right there, you use the correct formula to predict amount hidden, and then use, if you can, measure the temperature difference, because the temperature is the main thing that affects the refraction. But if you don't have that, then you can look to find similar conditions. I have cataloged many different empirical measurements of refraction on my website. I've already downloaded them. I've read them. You can click and download the PDF yourself and look at what they did.
Here's what I would say that as just a regular dumb guy, when I hear that, what I'm hearing is, okay, so the common model that everyone Googles is wrong. Here's a special model. Here's a special formula that you have to use. And before it'll work, you also have to add these two other factors in, which can change and are kind of variable. So you got to keep track of them. So it's not 100%, but it's not 100% science in figuring it out because you add in these variables. But the end result is a globe model that is 100%. And that doesn't make any sense to me. That's not good enough for me.
So you want 100% accuracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
We are.
There's no such thing as 100% accuracy.
If we're
right?
on a,
it's not. No. Let me talk right now.
Sure.
This ruler is not 100% accurate, right? It goes down to the millimeter. When you measure using this ruler, you are plus and minus 1/2 of a millimeter at least in your margin of error. Every measurement has a margin of error. You're never.
But if it was plus or minus an inch, then you'd have a real problem.
You're never 100% in any measurement ever. So if you're expecting 100%, you say, oh, it's not 100%. That's because you don't understand how to measure things. You don't understand how to actually do to control the conflating variables, right? I don't care that you're like, oh, it's hard for me to figure out, right? That's science. That's being precise about what you do. You do need to take these into account. And if you don't like it, I don't care. It just shows that you're not interested in finding out the truth. You're only interested in confirming your bias.
That's so ironic. All I do is challenge my biases. That's why I'm sitting here. Otherwise, I could just be a happy glober and go about my business and not have to worry about it at all.
Then why do you use the wrong formula? Why do you refuse to use refraction?
You're saying I'm using a wrong formula according to you, who I just met today, and I haven't had any time to look into any of your claims that you've made today. So,
but you've been at this for 5 years and you're still using the wrong formula. You're not paying attention.
Well, again, I'm using what you claim to be the wrong formula.
I can show you the derivation of the formula I gave you. You don't even know what a derivation is.
When it comes to whether or not it should be 100%, if we're claiming that this is the thing that we live on, we should definitely know 100% or pretty darn close to it, and we don't.
Yet you can't provide one thing.
You keep coming back to that, don't you?
You're making claims and you have no evidence. I made a claim. I presented the evidence.
You presented.
You didn't even show up to the race.
Yeah, I told you at the beginning I didn't show up to the race. I showed up at the last second with no preparation, and we were going to have a discussion about common sense. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't tell you.
We may go in.
The only thing that you've shown me is fancy math and a spreadsheet. That other people did, and so if I showed you pictures that other people did, you would just tell me, well, that's not something you did yourself.
No. That's not me. I don't I don't say you have to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We stand on the shoulders of giants when we do science, right? When Apple designed this phone, they didn't go and refigure out how to make a solid state transistor. They used the information and the knowledge that other people used to figure out how to make a solid state transistor. And advanced that science.
I have no idea which parts of the iPhone Apple innovated themselves or which parts that they co-opted from others who had already done it. So I don't know where you're going with that claim or that example. I lost my train of thought again. This is harder than it looks when you watch it on YouTube.
One thing that is fascinating that I think, oh my gosh, pardon my audio, folks, it's up and down, but I do want to ask, as people usually get a kick out of the question, so I'll toss it to you guys. The question of, is there a good reason to believe that there would be kind of this grand world cover-up such that all the governments were in on it in terms of covering up the flat earth and instead putting forth this idea that it's a globe earth? That's something that's really fascinating. People get a kick out of it. And so to hear your guys' thoughts on that question, or maybe you don't even think it's a good question, that's up to you. But what are your guys' thoughts on it?
I don't see... let's see, how do I want to word this? Anyone who doesn't think that people with money and power conspire with each other at their own level to maintain control over their own money and power is just willfully ignorant. That's just how things are. So that's my opinion as far as, I guess, what you're trying to get at. How that affects the flat or round debate is a conversation for another day. But people in power conspire to keep their power. That's human nature, goes without saying.
Gotcha. Mctune, are you persuaded? You look like you're maybe going to flip on this.
That doesn't do much. I mean, people often say it's to hide land, it's to hide the creator, it's to whatever. But just in general saying we want to not let some people know some critical fact about things doesn't really isn't very convincing as to why they would want to do that. Why wouldn't they lie about something else? Well, why lying about something that doesn't matter if it doesn't matter? And the number of people that have to be in on it is ridiculously huge. Because all of the people that measured these spherical triangles have to be in on it, because spherical triangles are impossible on a flat surface. So every surveyor that did this participated in every survey that outputted spherical triangles, which is every big survey, every primary triangulation of any country or surface of the world, has all of the people that are involved in it have to be hiding something somehow, because they would see the spherical triangles, or they would see the not spherical. Hold on, I'm not done talking. All right, they would see, oh, these triangles add to 180 degrees, but we need to somehow fake them adding to more than 180 degrees. And then, because all of the other measurements in this survey would be affected by that, we need to include all of that in this complicated math thing.
So
how were they in on it?
Well, okay, so in the spherical triangle measurements that they're doing, they don't have to be in on it. They're already looking for numbers that they're expecting to see, just like pilots aren't trying to hide the fact of it.
Explain how somebody measuring with a theodolite the angle between 2 points,
sure,
and the angle between 2 points, and the angle between 2 points coming up to 180 degrees, and then saying, oh, I was expecting more, therefore I will do something.
Well, what I'd like to know is how geodetic surveyors, which I imagine if they're measuring distances of 100 kilometers or more, they're geodetic and not planar surveyors. Would that be a correct assumption?
At the time, there was no distinction, for the most part.
How long ago was this then?
These go back to the 1700s.
Those
The
examples that you put out.
particular one that I showed you was published in 1901.
Okay, so when it comes to surveying, we can agree there are two types, planar and geodetic surveying, and that geodetic surveying is done at distances of 100 miles or greater. Or no, it's planar that's done at 100 miles or greater, and geodetic that's done at 100 miles or less. Am I getting that correct?
You're backwards on that.
Okay, so which one? It's geodetic that's 100 miles or less, and planar that's 100 miles or more?
Backwards.
Okay, planar, 100 miles or less. So then they're planar, then the example that you're using is an example of planar surveying since it's 100 kilometers or less, correct?
No. In 1901, this distinction
whether they called it planar or not, the distances that they were using then is equivalent to what we now refer to as planar surfacing.
No, the survey began on the east coast of the United States and ended on the west coast of the United States. That's much more than 100 kilometers. It's the entire width of the United States.
I understand that, but you said each individual example, you provided 6 or 8 examples of spherical triangles that had measured, one in Texas, one over here, one over there. Each of those, you said that the distances on each side of the triangle were 100 kilometers, give or take, some were less, some more, depending on terrain.
Here's the deal.
So
I don't want to embarrass you. Well, you don't understand the surveying. You don't understand which one is which way. Maybe that's not your topic.
No, my point is that if the triangle that they're measuring at 100 kilometers on each side of the triangle, give or take a kilometer.
It's actually the area of the triangle that they talk about.
Mm-hmm. The fact is that planar surveyors are taught to treat the Earth as a flat surface for the first 100 miles. Yeah, that's my point.
And what does it say in the next sentence about planar surveyors? It says they can't do bigger ones because the spherical nature of the Earth introduces too much error into their measurements.
And so, how are they able, if they're treating an area of 100 miles or less, a flat square, able to measure for curvature in a spherical triangle?
They are not planar surveyors. They are not doing planar surveying techniques to do this particular primary triangulation across the United States. These aren't planar surveyors. The entire survey is the thing that they talk about, right? So if you do an entire survey and the entire survey covers a certain amount less than an area, then that entire survey can be done using strictly planar techniques because the margin of error is acceptable. But if the entire survey is over that, which this one definitely is because it's the entire width of the United States, then you cannot use those techniques. The errors are too large.
Okay, you just confused me again. You said this survey was done over the width of the United States, but it was at 7 or 8 different locations. So are they adding those
hundreds and hundreds of locations?
I was using just the ones you listed. You said here's 7 or 8 examples. I just keep going back to that screen that you shared earlier. I don't know if you want to keep getting myopic about the details of that. I'm just referring back to that page that you showed that was 6 or 7 examples. One was in Texas, one was in New York, because I'm going off of memory again. So again, you're saying that these surveys were done in different areas, but that the result of the survey was the entire width of the United States. So I'm not sure which is it. Are you taking surveys in New York, Texas, Chicago, California, and then adding those all up to get the width of the United States, or are they claiming that they have 3 points from either end, opposite ends of the contiguous United States? Because you're not being clear on that.
They did one giant survey across the United States along the 38th parallel.
With just 3 points?
No, hundreds and hundreds of points.
And so that's where I'm saying that the standards of approaching surveying at 100 miles or less is treated as a flat surface.
Like I said, that was not a distinction that they were using back then.
It doesn't matter if they were using it back then. We acknowledge it now, so they were still subject to those rules when they did the measurements, whether they knew about them or not, or whether that was
Yeah. So I guess this is just your deflection to try to not address that they actually measured triangles that were more than 180 degrees.
Sure. That's how you want to look at it. Yeah, I'm just asking you. I'm asking for further clarification of how this actually works. And you're not really able to make that clear for me. And if this isn't accessible to the layperson,
I don't care if it's there is no
how do you
necessity.
Expect to make your point?
There's no necessity for a layperson to understand how to measure the shape of the Earth for the shape of the Earth to be properly measured, right? If you don't understand it, that doesn't make it flat. That makes it that you don't understand.
Well, it may mean that I'm confused in this particular issue.
I agree.
And I'm not going to deny that. Spherical trigonometry is not my thing. I'm a regular guy.
Yep.
Planar surveying is not my thing. I'm a regular guy. Cosines, trigonometry, and physics are not my thing. I'm a regular guy.
Regular guys understand physics. That's no defense. That's no defense,
Yeah.
right? If you're going to be claiming certain things, you need to be able to actually explore them, right? And if you get to the point where you're like, well, I can't understand these things, therefore I will ignore them, doesn't work.
I didn't say I ignored it. You presented me things tonight that I hadn't heard or seen presented before, which I find is really interesting, that you knew that it was a guy coming on that had no experience, and you brought stuff that was just, on a level that you knew I was not prepared for. So that seems kind of unfair to begin with, but it's whatever.
I tell you what, I'll go back to.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll go back to basics. How about that?
Sure. Next of all.
Just a second here.
We don't have too much more time before we go into the Q&A.
I hear that and I haven't really heard you prove a globe yet. I've heard you prove what you claim is radius, but I don't see how that
actually did.
I don't see how that proves a globe.
I know that you don't understand. That's fine. So, all right, I will present.
That's very belittling. The way that you say that is very dismissive.
All right, so here we go. Dwayne Kellum, a flat earther, Dwayne Kellum, sent a balloon up. It was his 24th balloon that he sent up. Now, he documented the particular camera and lens that he used. He used a Sony FE 50mm 1.8 lens. That lens has been quantified to know how much how much barrel distortion is in it. Right here you can see from the website that quantified the amount of barrel distortion, how much barrel distortion. It is not observable. There's the barrel distortion of that lens is so minuscule that you can't see it at all.
So this guy managed to get the first picture of curvature ever, huh?
No, it's one of many. So I'll just continue my presentation here. All right, here it is from 117,431 feet, using that lens that does not introduce barrel distortion. Here's the photograph. Right now, I added this particular line across it. On the left side, we can see it's right next to the horizon. On the right side, it's right next to the horizon. In the middle, there's a gap between the line and the horizon. It is curved. This is factually curved using a lens that does not introduce distortion. On my website.
How do we complete that circle? If it's curved that way, then it must keep going off the side of each side of that image. How do you complete the circle on that?
That's not how it actually works.
Exactly. So what does
no. So when you move the lens to the side, the center of the lens versus the sides of the lens on the surface, on a curved surface, will curve down. It's not like if you keep going, it should keep dipping. That's not how it works. So it seems you misunderstand how that
curvature. Where does the curvature in that image lead to then?
It leads to a curved surface of the Earth. What else do you want? They're like, show me the curve. I showed you the curve. And you're like, I don't understand the curve. I don't understand how...
I'm asking you to finish that curve. Like, where does that go? It must keep going down. You're like, no, it would actually...
That's not how it works.
That's how it has to work.
No.
It has to work that way.
Again, you already explained to us that you don't understand geometry.
I didn't say geometry. I said I wasn't a physics guy. I never said geometry.
Okay. Well, that's a curved horizon. What do you got to say to that?
That pixelated thing that you just showed, you can't explain to me where the rest of that curve goes. If it's curving down on the edges, they keep curving.
Yeah, it's out of frame.
Right. So you move the camera over, and the curve that was on the edge should now be in the middle, and the curve should keep going down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How does that not even track with you?
Because you don't understand how it would. Oh, fine. Wow.
Even Globers will say that.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
What was the altitude?
117,000 feet. 117,000 feet.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says.
Are you going to straw man me? Is Neil deGrasse Tyson here?
Oh, let's hear a chance to respond.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says.
Oh, he's not here. Okay.
All right. Just to hear a response.
If he's here, you could address him.
Okay.
But he's not.
He said, bring up specific examples. I do, and you interrupt me in the middle of my sentence, and you think that's the.
No, you straw.
Okay, hate to do this. I am pausing this.
The most famous astrophysicist in the world, strawmanning you.
I'm muting both of you just to restore order. So, appreciate both of you guys. By the way, folks, they're both linked in the description, or at least Mctune is, and Ryan doesn't have a channel at the moment. However, we will jump into those 2-minute intervals for this last little bit before we go into the Q&A. So, gentlemen, the floor is all yours. What we could do is, Mctune, let's see, did you feel like... I'm just going to flip a coin. Mctune, your heads. And it came up heads. So, Mctune, go ahead. You can go for 2 minutes, and then we will go over to Ryan for 2 minutes. And Ryan, I know that you said you had a short amount of time that you can be here. So what we can do is...
about 20 minutes left or so.
Okay, so what we can do is we'll give you each 2 minutes to wrap up, draw together the threads from this debate, and then we will jump into the Q&A.
All right, it sounds like you want to see a 360-degree camera with zero lens distortion. It doesn't exist. You also talked about you're going to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson, who says the Earth is a globe. Fine, quote him. You get all of it, though. He says the Earth is a globe. Would you see with your naked eye? I don't know, but I can see it with a camera when I draw a line across it. Neil isn't here, but I would love to have a conversation with him and go over what he meant when he said that. And I would call him out because I don't think that he specifically described the situation well enough. But I don't care. He's not here. I showed you a picture of curve.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Mctune. We'll go ahead with Ryan for that last 2 minutes or so, and then we'll go into the Q&A. By the way, folks, I want to let you know, because we only have Ryan for a limited time, and he's been a really good sport, folks. Want to let you know that Ryan, there was a miscommunication such that we were glad that he is here at all because he bent over backwards to make this work with his schedule. So we only have him for a short bit. And by the way, Mctune also bent over backwards to make it work with his schedule. So we appreciate that on both debaters. But want to let you know we probably can't fit in any more new questions that come in because we only have about 20 minutes for the Q&A. So go ahead, Ryan, and then we'll jump into the Q&A.
Sure. I guess I really don't have much in closing statements because it would probably involve bringing up new information rather than addressing what we've been dealing with tonight, which not doing well on. Oh my goodness, my first YouTube debate, I didn't do well on. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. So I would say that I'll give the match to MC because I was not prepared ahead of time or during, and would look forward to another debate where I could actually have some facts, figures, and if I learn how to do a screen share between now and then, I would definitely come back with some other things and have a more cohesive and comprehensive opening statement so that I had some points to fall back on.
You got it.
That would be my closing statement. And as far as that picture of curvature goes, I just, again, it was such a poor explanation of why and how that curvature would show up on the edges of the image. But if you were to move that image, it's just a ridiculous explanation. Yeah.
We are going to jump into this Q&A. I want to let you know, folks, as mentioned, we're going to try to read through these as fast as possible. We appreciate them. And also want to let you know, folks, next week, namely Monday, T-Jump and Demon Mama are going to debate deplatform or debate controversial issues. That's what they'll be debating over. And so you don't want to miss it, folks. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss it, as well as many other juicy debates coming up. So this first one coming in, do appreciate it. Nephilim Free is here and says, if the Earth were If the Earth were flat, gravity would cause things to become lighter as they move from the center out toward its edge. Obviously, this is not so.
Are we responding to these, or are you just reading
Oh yeah,
them?
that's so yeah.
Question?
Some of them are in the form of comments, and so we do give you a chance to respond though.
Oh, okay. So he's assuming it. Well, that commenter is assuming that gravity, the theory, would still be in effect on a flat Earth model, which again, I said there is no model for either the globe or the flat Earth that explains all of their measurements or anything. But to insert gravity into anything that would even be claimed as a flat Earth model is to not understand the differences between the model, and that's apples and oranges. That would be like bringing gravity into a flat Earth model would be like an American football player going to play European football and thinking the same rules still applied, and it was just the color of the ball was different, and they're completely different sports. So,
gotcha.
And if you believed in gravity, then yeah, if you took gravity from a globe model and brought it over to a flat Earth, yeah, you'd run into problems because you're mixing things that don't mix, and gravity is a theory; it's never been proven.
Gotcha. This one coming in from Syed Ahmad, thank you very much, says, that was a Rubik's Cube worth opening statement. I think that was for you, Mctune. There it is. He is the Rubik's Cube man. And Connell X Silverfur says 8 inches per mile squared doesn't give you a globe, it gives you a parabola. This is why people who understand, this is why the math shows that flat Earth is wrong. I'll give you a chance to respond to that, Ryan.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before, and I say again, it measures a parabola, yeah, because the 8 inches per mile squared is designed to measure distance for 100 miles or less. And if you connected parabolas at 100 miles at a time, it would eventually make a circle. A segment of a circle is a parabola. So they haven't thought through that argument yet.
Gotcha. This juicy one coming in from Connell X Silverfur again says, quote, I am a skeptic equals I believe in flat Earth. But they say, they're accusing you of this, Ryan. They say, if you say you're a globe skeptic, it means that you're saying I believe in flat Earth, but I don't want to try to prove my beliefs via evidence. And they say this is a Nathan Oakley impression. What are your thoughts on this, Ryan? I don't know who Nathan Oakley is. Is he charming?
No, when he says that I'm a globe skeptic, he says I'm a globe skeptic, so that means how does read that again, please?
He says that means that you believe in flat Earth, but don't want to try to prove it via evidence for a flat Earth.
To me, that's just an incredibly close-minded comment. Just because I'm questioning one thing doesn't mean I have to fully understand the other. To have doubt in one is not to completely claim to understand the other. The problem is with the globe. They're the ones, their globe model led me to question their model. It wasn't the other way. I didn't wake up and want to start looking into this. You know what I mean? So when people say, "Oh well, if you don't, if you how did he word it? That he wants to be a globe skeptic because he doesn't want to, because he just wants to believe in flat Earth." Again, I didn't claim to believe in anything.
Gotcha.
I just claim to question things. And so just because I'm questioning one thing does not mean I have to religiously align myself with the other. Questioning is questioning.
So you'd say that, similar to an atheist lacking belief, you're an aglober. Is that so? You're not actually a flat earther?
Yeah, I do not call myself a flat earther. I think that term is almost denigrating. It already preloads the conversation, before you even get to having a conversation. I have issues with the globe that have not been answered for me, nor do I see them being answered. And so I'm not going to say, I used to say with confidence that I lived on a magic, spinning, flying, tilted, wobbling lava water space pair that hurtles through a vacuum void adjacent to low pressure system with a high pressure environment as it flies around a zero gravity hydrogen ball that is able to combust in a vacuum. I used to believe that and just go about my day. I no longer believe that. I don't believe in anything anymore. Now I question things. When I started questioning the globe, it was about questioning, not about believing. And I all of a sudden had questions I had never asked before that were not able to be answered. And so that's on the globe. Like if if the globe is a jealous mistress, well, you let me stray away and go look at other things, and when I come back to you, you don't have good answers for me. So I'm not sure where this relationship is going. Globe.
Gotcha. This one coming in from Kango24 says, this is entertainment, but nothing about the globe is in contention, Ryan. You only have flat earth memes, they say.
I didn't present any memes.
Next up, Decepticons. Well, I'll give you a chance to respond further if you wanted. I didn't mean to rush you.
Sorry, go say again. I didn't hear that.
I think, okay, that's all you had. Gotcha. And then in terms of responding, I didn't want to rush you. Decepticons Forever said, what shape are the other celestial bodies, Ryan?
Again, it has nothing. The lights in the ceiling have nothing to do with the shape of the floor.
Gotcha. But to be fair,
I don't know what they are, and I don't believe anyone who's told me what they think they are.
So would you be completely agnostic on those? I don't mean to press you, but just because I know they desperately want to know.
As far as the planets, the things that we see in the sky,
Mars,
they're spherical, so we must be spherical. It doesn't make any sense to me now.
So you would grant that they're spherical?
Nope, I won't grant that they're spherical. I will grant that they're taught that they're spherical.
You're like the ultra.
That there's spheres up there.
You're the ultra a globist.
Yeah.
Magellan says, Mctune says you need to take into account atmospheric lensing, tachyon particles, gamma rays, electromagnetic wake, left city, and down cities. I have a feeling that's okay. They're being silly.
Yep. Well, electromagnetic wake is what Nathan Thompson lied about when he was on with Maddie. And he has no clue. I had him on 2 weeks ago and asked him to explain it, and he talked about air, not electromagnetism.
You could just phrase that's something Nathan Thompson presented. By you saying that he lied about it as an attack when he's not here to defend himself?
Oh, no, he lied about it. Yeah, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a factual lie. Yeah.
Well,
again, that just paints you as an unfair actor. That's a bad actor. It's just
the video's on my channel. You can
juicy.
You can watch it. Yeah.
We're going to jump into the next one.
Channel, but you're saying something about someone else that's not here to defend them, and that's just not cool. I'm just calling you out on it.
We do want to jump to this next one. Tim Pryor says, and why can't you see the Chicago skyline every day? I think this is for you, Ryan.
It clearly is for me. It's the same reason why you can't see, where I live, I can't see downtown every day because the atmosphere and the weather changes every day. Next question.
Next one coming in from EndoXD says, if the Earth is a globe, why do flushed toilets spin in the same direction on both hemispheres of the Earth? Checkmate, Ryan.
Coriolis effect affecting toilet bowl flushes is a tourist trap at best. That you go watch those videos from doing that at the equator. It's all about the shape of the basin or the direction of the water. That's just a part.
There's jets in toilets. They go one direction on purpose. Yeah.
I don't think anyone on either side of the debate would have the toilet spinning water debate.
That sounds like a juicy one. And Tim Pryor says physical objects like the Earth can be physically measured. That's how we come up with the radius.
Yeah, so he's thinking that we measure the radius of the Earth by measuring physical objects on Earth.
Gotcha. And this one.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say gotcha, and then this next question, but if you have more to say, go ahead.
No, read it again. I'm sorry.
They said, physical objects like the Earth can be physically measured. That's how we come up with the radius for it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what he's saying. He didn't include any in that. That's a weird comment.
I think they're saying like the way we know the length of the radius of the Earth is because physical objects like the Earth can be measured physically.
You can measure anything. There's no measurable curvature, so...
I presented that. I presented the measurements of it.
Yeah.
Next up, Decepticons Forever says, meerkats understand perspective. Okay. Want to remind you, friendly reminder, folks, we were looking for attacks on the arguments, not the person. This is a general flat earth attack, but not you, Ryan. But Dave Garr, they said, Toon, why does elevation not matter in the trig?
That's a good question. Because when they measure the actual triangles, they're just measuring azimuth angles, right? So you can turn the theodolite up, right, or down, but you still get they're still just reading the left to right azimuth angles. It's more complicated than I could to really get into it than I could do here to do justice to it, to talk about the actual curved lines of a spherical triangle versus the projected point above the point on the surface of it. It is trig. It is a bit complex, but in the end, it doesn't matter. You're just measuring the left to right horizontal angles, and the topography is isolated out when you do that.
You got it. And this one from Mike Billar says, Polaris, for Ryan, Polaris decreases 1 degree in altitude with every 111 kilometers that you go south. This is necessary and sufficient for a globe. Prove it wrong and you win.
Oh, goody. I win. Polaris would move down on the horizon on a flat Earth as well, or on a flat plane as well as you moved away from northern center. And as far as it moving down at the measurements that he said, as you move away from the North Pole, again, it's one of those things that works on both models. The problem with Polaris is that with all of the expected movements, we have at least 3 different movements of the Earth: rotating, spinning, and orbiting. And yet the stars never experience any measurable parallax, and Polaris is always in a fixed point that can be viewed night after night, year after year, century after century, observer after observer. One good example is the Georgia Guidestones, where you can see the Polaris night star the entire year through the hole drilled in the stone. It's completely impossible to happen on a tilted, wobbling lava water space pair hurtling at 500,000 miles an hour through the universe, an ever-expanding universe as things move away from each other. It's absurd.
Hey, you're the one with short on time. Can I answer that? Address that?
Really short and pithy.
Okay. mctune.net/Polaris has 150 years of measurements of the movement of Polaris. Number one. Number two, yes, you would see Polaris decrease in angular elevation on a flat surface, but it would decrease in a tangent function. It would be an asymptote. It would never, it would not do a linear decrease in size in angular elevation as we measure.
If you want to respond, given that the original question was targeting you, Ryan, I can give you the last word if you want to respond, and then I've got to go to the next one.
Yeah, it still works on both models.
Next up, this one coming in from Holy Smalls says, can either one of the debaters define or describe electromagnetic wake?
It doesn't exist. It is a made-up term.
Gotcha.
That I believe came from Globebusters, but Nathan repeated it.
Next up, Tim Pryor says, so common sense tells you that you're smarter than billions of people, including all of science or scientists, and only you and a small percent have figured this out, Ryan.
It's just an easy out. Smarter people than me must have figured this out, so who am I to question them? It's a fallacy to begin with.
Gotcha. And Bubblegum Gun says, Virgin, let's see. Next up, this goes back to our last debate. They said Virgin Fancy Math versus Chad Common Sense. What they're referring to from the last debate, if you saw the last one, it was a juicy one. But Syed Ahmad says, Mctune says, stop me. Syed said, Mctune, stop me if you've heard this before. 2 people walk into a bar and mention 8 inches per mile squared.
I've heard that before.
Some sort of dirty joke of yours, Mctune?
No, it's the 8 inches per mile squared is what all flat earthers use. It's the wrong formula. If anybody's been around for a while, they should have done the actual, done your own research to find out that that's not the right formula. But they don't.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Abdullah Ibn Ibli says, Ryan, what if those pictures made up? What if those PIC made up?
Moving on.
Next up, thank you very much for your question, Andrew Roos. Thanks for your kind words. A message for you, James. You're an inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing. That's like the nicest thing I've probably ever heard in my life. Thank you so much for your kind words, seriously. And so, folks, we want to let you know, we hope you're welcome. We've got more questions, but hope you feel welcome, whether you be flat earther, globe earther, Christian, atheist, Republican, Democrat, you name it. We hope you feel welcome here at Modern Day Debate. We're a neutral channel hosting debates on juicy topics. So next up, Conalex Silverfur says, quote unquote, people in power conspire to keep their power. They're trying to paraphrase you, Ryan. They say, some serious they say this is silly, Ryan. How does living on a globe establish power for the elite? Namely, I think he's saying, how would they consolidate power by pushing the idea of a globe?
One way that I think of it is, the just the nature of being human is for people to ask, why are we here? What is our purpose? What are we here to do? I want to work. I want to be productive. This is a common, I don't think, regardless of disposition, anyone would argue with that most people want to know why we're here and what we're here to do. If we don't even know where we are, you'll never know why you're there because you don't know where there is. So, another way to put it is if I was trying to sell a bicycle, if someone was trying to buy a bicycle and I owned a bakery and, for want of a vowel, they came into a bakery looking for a bike and I would tell them, no, you're looking for a bikery. That's where you buy bikes. Go to a bike store, not a bake store. So if you're trying to buy a bike in a bakery, you're never going to find what you're looking for because you're in the wrong place. So you don't buy a bike in a bake store, you buy a bike in a bike store. We all think we're in a bakery and we're in a bike store. I don't know if that makes sense, if that's a good analogy.
Juicy. And this next one,
I guess MC is shaking his head. So I guess my point is that if you don't know where you are, you can't find what you're looking for. If you don't even know where you are, it's definitely, does that make sense? And so that's one reason why I think that it's worth hiding information like that, or not necessarily hiding it, but obscuring the fact and creating so much debate, discussion, and detriment around it that people become so confused through debate, whether it's this or the myriad of other issues that humanity is faced with on a daily basis. All of it is to distract and divide us, and that's really that's my takeaway from it. Sure.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Kango24 says, Ryan, to quote you, all you have is stories. And they're saying that they're quoting you, and they say, exactly, you're just parroting other stories. Why don't you read more books or papers on this topic?
Right. Again, he's just not paying attention. He's cherry picking what I said when I said all I have is stories. He's ignoring the part where I said I'm unprepared, I'm unfamiliar with this, and all I have today are stories, and I don't have pictures to back up. I could just tell you a story about my friend who took this picture, or tell you a story about a thing that I did with my camera, but without that stuff to show, it's just a story. So it wasn't for me to characterize myself as saying that I'm someone who just believes in stories, only to characterize today's particular example of all I have today are stories. So he's just either intentionally or unintentionally misunderstanding me.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Wanabis says, if you start by using spherical trigonometry, aren't you assuming it is a sphere? Also, thanks, James. I have to say, thanks to the speakers, they're the lifeblood of the channel, so we can't thank them enough. But go ahead, MC Toon, if you'd like to give a response.
No, it is not assuming, because the first thing I did was identify that the triangles had a spherical excess. So that right there, I already established the spherical nature of it, but it left the question of whether the sphere is a consistent sphere or if it is a widely varying sphere. So then you plug it into the spherical trigonometry to find out whether or not all of the triangles are consistent or if they vary wildly, and they are very consistent.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Mike Billar says, MC Toon, if the Earth is a dodecahedron or whatever.
Dodecahedron?
Thank you so much. They said, if it is that, then how do you explain a Borg cube? Boom, Mike Uppity.
I've got the Cube Earth shirt here going, so I'm all in with the Borg Cube Earth. Let's go.
That's hot. Thank you very much. And
it's hot.
That's right. A Bubblegum Gun says, if Earth isn't flat, why is my grill flat? # roasted. I don't know what that means, but Tim Pryor thinks
it's hard to argue that. Yeah.
Tim Pryor says, to dumb it down, that would be like saying you believe 1 + 1 = 2 because somebody told you, and you're just, not able to figure it out if that's true or not. I don't know who that refers to, but I think it's for you, Ryan, but I'm trying to remember the context that it's referring to.
Sounds like he's referring to when I was talking about how I was not up to speed on the material that MC was presenting, and he's equating that with not knowing that 1 + 1 = 2. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know.
Gotcha. Sparky, we got just several more questions. Sparky NJ says, MC Toon, did you take dimensity into account for your evidence?
Dimensity is a word I made up this week on accident. And no, I did not take dimensity into account. It's not something I typically do, but I will definitely try to take it into account.
I like it.
I accidentally merged density and demented. So
that's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Dimensity, twin word for juicy. And this one coming in from Mike Billars says, who's the absolute... Okay, I'm sorry, I have to read this. Who's the absolute hottie in the lower left corner?
Oh, you paid somebody to say that.
I will pay you back,
Oh,
Mike. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Keep them coming, and I'll just keep paying you. But Tim Pryor says, if you have not heard or seen these things before then, maybe you should stop using YouTube videos to get your information, Ryan. They say if you don't understand basic physics, then you should not be arguing the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, he's just, I know, that's just, a regular YouTuber assuming that the only thing I do is watch YouTube videos. That's fine.
Gotcha.
And I love the YouTube. YouTube isn't research thing, even though every useful thing I've done in the past 5 years that I didn't know about, I went to YouTube to research how to do what I wanted to do. So it's YouTube is a useful tool for everyone when they want to use it, and it's a useful scapegoat when they want to shoot down.
It's great. It's great for fixing your car. I've done so much on my car through YouTube, so that's awesome.
It's a tool and it's a resource that can be used by anybody with a discerning mind. And so if you want to learn how to fix your car, or you want to, the point, anybody who watches anything on YouTube without, double check, any quality YouTube video is going to have sources linked in the description for you to double check their information, whether it's a globe earth debate, a flat earth debate, or changing an alternator. They're going to give you links in the description to back up and verify their claims. And that's on the viewer to do that work.
Very juicy indeed. And this next one,
Area. YouTube isn't research. That's just a lazy answer.
This one coming in from Area 85 Restoration says, my standard question. I work at a rocket launch and a test site as an engineer. How is it possible that I'm quote unquote being lied to, or that I am part of the conspiracy? So I think maybe this is alluding to the idea that both
everyone would have to be on that thing, yeah. So he's an engineer that works for a company that pays him to engineer things, and then they launch it into the ocean, and he never sees where it lands. He gets paid, and he feeds his family, and he works hard. And there's nothing wrong with that. He gets paid to make widgets and fire them into the ocean. That's fine. If it feeds his family, that's great.
Gotcha.
They'll do what we gotta do.
Next one comes
in any conspiracy to be an engineer.
Do I get
Can I
address that?
If you'd like a pithy response, we can give you one, MC Toon.
Yeah, they don't just make it and then don't pay attention anymore. They interface with the devices that they created and put on the rocket for days and years after it's been launched. So somebody either have to be in on it, or somebody has to be intentionally faking the data that they're interacting with.
Gotcha.
Those are two possibilities.
Next one. This one coming in from Do Appreciate It, Larry Cloys. The last question says, James, watching old debates, I learned I am majoring what you did.
He's the same major as you.
That is really cool. Thank you for letting me know that, Larry, and I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to email me at moderndaydebate@gmail.com. And that goes for anybody, folks. We really do appreciate you hanging out here. If you have a hard day, you want somebody to talk to, something like that, if there's a way we can make your day better, please let me know. We really do appreciate you hanging out here. And we want to say it's hard for us to thank the guests enough. Namely, MC Toon and Ryan have been great sports with their schedule tonight. I honestly can't thank them enough. Really, thank you, MC Toon and Ryan, just for hanging in there in terms of the schedule dysfunction that we had and being willing to still make it tonight, and just how much of a challenge that was. And we do appreciate you so much. In fact, somebody I think fired in a super chat that said that, no joke. I think they said thank Ryan and MC Toon for doing that. And so do want to say thank you, MC Toon and Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Go ahead.
I appreciate you having me, and here's my guy coming to remind me that it's dinner time.
You've got it. So I'll be back with a post-credits.
Hey, you're going to feed me? It's about that time.
That's MC Toon will gladly feed you. And so is that what you said? I was just teasing you.
No, I meant the dog coming to remind me that it's dinner time. He hops up on my lap like, hey, you're going to feed me? It's about that time. Like,
oh, gotcha. Okay.
Are you done with your friends yet? I need food.
I gotcha. Okay. But yeah, I will be back, folks, with a post-credit scene in just a moment. So stick around. But thank you, MC Toon and Ryan. It's been a true pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you next time.
100%. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Folks, I am absolutely pumped. I am thrilled. Want to let you know, you guys, I am so excited. First, that was an epic debate. We really do appreciate the debaters. We cannot say it enough how much we do appreciate them. And so, you guys, I have to let you know about several awesome upcoming debates, things that we were really excited about. Tomorrow, we're going to have super popular podcaster David C. Smalley and our dearest friend Stuart Nettle. They will be debating, namely, the idea that you could say divine hiddenness is this idea that if there is, so you could say that, let's say the theist grants that there's no evidence for God. Is that a problem for theism? So that'll be a juicy debate you don't want to miss. That's tomorrow. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell if you haven't already. And you must love debates because, hey, you've been here for quite a while, folks. It's been about an hour and a half, and that was a really fun one. I really just can't thank the guests enough for that. And so we also want to do some greeting of my dear friends. Glad to have you here in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. And so, folks, I don't know if you know it, but we do have a Twitch. I'm going to mention that right now, and I'm also going to throw that in the live chat right now. Our Twitch is linked right now in the live chat, so you can click on that, and I will pin that to the top of the chat. And we want to welcome you to check out our Twitch. There's a lot of people are like, hey, yes, I like that, I enjoy that, and so we hope that it's useful to you. And also want to let you know that's pinned at the top of the chat. But saying hello to you, just want to greet you and say thanks for being with us. Ozian, Topatzel, and Sephirin, and who else have we got in the old Twitch chat? Good to see you all. Ms. Metal, glad you made it. And I've made you a mod on YouTube, Ms. Metal. Thanks for reminding me. And Brooke Sparrow, good to see you, as well as Nicholas of House Strode. Thanks for coming by. We are stoked to have you here in the old Twitch chat. And thanks, Ozian, who shared our Indiegogo link in the Twitch chat. And I will share that in the YouTube chat now. If you guys have not heard, you guys, this debate, this one right here that I'm pointing to, bottom right of your screen, between Matt Dillahunty and Dr. Kenny Rhodes and whether or not there is good evidence for God, you don't want to miss it, folks. It is going to be absolutely epic. So I highly encourage you, folks. This is going to be a gigantic debate, and we're doing a crowdfund for it. If you've ever found this value, basically, if you've ever found value in this channel where you're like, you know what, I've enjoyed this channel, it's been a fun time, and I'd like to keep seeing bigger and more epic debates, want to invite you to join us in giving to the crowdfund that we are using to raise funds for the guests' honorariums. As this is going to be high profile, big time debate. Dr. Kenny Rhodes is a respected scholar and apologist, and he's also partly on staff with Reasons to Believe, an international ministry, which is you could say, apologetics ministry. But interestingly, they're an interesting one because they have nothing but, I think pretty much almost all of their staff are like scientists, and they have their PhD in one thing or another. And so long story short, is going to be epic, as Kenny Rose will be taking on Matt Dillahunty. And that's in 21 days, folks. It is crazy. So we only have 21 days to raise the funds for this event, and it's going to be free for the public. So I want to let you know, like, you can watch it on Modern Day Debate. As of right now, what we have planned is you can just hang out at the watch page, and then, yeah, it'll be streamed live there. And believe me, it's going to be great. And I want to let you know, though, we are shooting for our goal, and we have been climbing rapidly, which is super encouraging, folks, that the fundraiser has been going really well. I am so encouraged that, as you see on the far right of your screen, that's our fundraising meter. Our goal is, we bumped it from last time, it was 2,500, now it's 3,500, and then next time we'll actually bump it to getting even more high-profile debaters. No joke. Our next debate, we plan on it being late this summer. We're hoping it'll be Dinesh D'Souza and Vosh. So, like, that's the kind of debate, and that's not confirmed yet. So, but it gives you an idea, like, how epic we're shooting for in terms of getting guests like Dinesh D'Souza, maybe Richard Dawkins. Those are the kind of guests we're shooting for real. And so that's a way that you can support this channel that really does go a long way, as we really do appreciate that. So, folks, if you see Albert Bitcoin being timed out in the chat, don't worry. It's because Albert Bitcoin is a bot. So the moderators are not actually abusing anybody. Albert Bitcoin's not a real person. I'm sorry, Albert, to say that, but Albert is a bot. So just in case you're seeing that in the chat right now. But do want to say, let me give you just some of the info about this crowdfund, because you might be new to it, and maybe you're like, what is a crowdfund and what is Indiegogo? That's the link for our crowdfund, which I will put in the chat right now. The crowdfund link. Okay, I just threw that in the chat, and I want to tell you about it in particular. As you see on the far right of your screen, we're close to 50%, you guys. Believe me, we're going to make this goal, and we need to make this goal for the debate to happen. And so I am determined. I don't care if me and T Jump have to get out there and do a car wash in the rain. This debate is going to happen, folks. And so let me show you some of the details about it. You see on screen, the title is There Good Evidence for God? And if you have never been a part of a crowdfund, I want to let you know it's a really fun thing to get to be a part of. I actually got to do, you could say, be a part of crowdfunding, where I jumped in on somebody else's last, was in the winter when we did ours, because I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so if you haven't done it before, it is kind of a neat thing that the internet allows us to do. But let me show you some of the other details, because you might be like, well, James, I don't know, like, are you guys sure that you know, like, how to do this? Because, I mean, what if you do it, but you fail? Believe me, we've already had success doing this. Look on screen on the bottom right of your screen. For the last one, we had 143 people jump in on the crowdfund. People who were like, hey, you know what? This is going to be epic. We want to see this debate happen. And we had Michael Shermer and Mike Jones debate whether or not Christianity is dangerous. And we raised in that one, as you can see on the bottom right of your screen, it's circled there, 143 backers combined raised $3,141. So close to our goal for this one, because we actually exceeded our goal last time. And I have a feeling we're going to do that this time, because we're so far ahead of schedule in terms of the fundraising, which is absolutely encouraging. So that's really cool. But also, maybe you're like, well, okay, James, that's interesting, but maybe it's hard to like sign in or something like that. You guys, folks, if you click on the link that is right now, I'm going to put this at the very top of the chat. Crowdfund. I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat. If you click on this crowdfund link that is pinned at the top of the chat, or that is in the description, want to let you know, it's so easy to log in. Folks, really, all you have to do is this. You can even sign in with Facebook. You don't even have to give them your email or password or anything like that. If you want, you can just sign in through Facebook. It's a breeze, easy peasy, folks. I mean, that's awesome. And not only that, if you want, you're like, no, actually, I don't even have a Facebook. I'd rather just use my email. You can do that too. I mean, it's pretty easy though, which is nice, is that they make it convenient, you could say. And there are a lot of added perks this time. So you guys, on screen, some of these perks we've had before. So for example, your name on screen, That one is, you can see at the very top, but maybe you're like, James, that's cool, but I kind of want to maybe do like a smaller perk. What do you have for smaller perks? Well, let me scroll up just a bit here and I'll show you. So you can just help ensure that this debate happens. That's only just $3. I mean, that's the price of a cup of coffee, folks, really. So that's convenient. And then the next tier is help us make this event huge. That just adds a few dollars, as we're basically trying to get out ads on YouTube to make this really big. So the next one is your name on screen. So that's in the ticker at the bottom of the screen during the debate. So that way we can basically thank you and get to honor you by putting your name there. And also, though, check these other ones out. Your name read out loud is the next tier that you see there. And then scrolling a little bit further, you can receive an embossed Modern Day Debate postcard. And it's not on here yet because I've got to update the picture, but you can actually get a Modern Day Debate mug, like a coffee mug. If you're like me, you love coffee. And so if you want a Modern Day Debate coffee mug, check out that Indiegogo link. You can see it there, as we are excited that that's a new perk we just added the other day. And then next up, Modern Day Debate t-shirt. That's another cool one. I have my own Modern Day Debate t-shirt, as well as Modern Day Debate hoodie. Epic, absolutely, helps keep you warm. And Zoom chat with James for an hour. And that's something that if you want to record it and put it on your own channel or something like that, like an interview or even like maybe a short, like little mini debate kind of deal, that could work. And so whatever's useful to you, but also meet and greet with the guests. Really cool, folks, is that the meet and the greet with the guests is 20 minutes before it starts. You can jump into the Zoom chat, which is just really cool, basically because you can greet the debaters, as well as want to let you know I'll be there, so you'll know somebody, you could say. But there are a lot of cool perks, so we want to encourage you to check those out, folks, as we are absolutely pumped for this debate to happen with Dr. Kenny Rhodes and Matt Dillahunty. And folks, that's the thing, is we want to really honor and say thank you to our guests. We really appreciate their preparation, and both Dr. Kenny Rhodes and Matt are preparing hard for this debate. They put their effort into this, and I mean, we also, by the way, not only that, but Matt, if you look at our views on YouTube, about a quarter of them are from Matt Dillahunty debates. No joke. And so we really do appreciate Matt, and this is our way of showing that appreciation for Matt, and that this honorarium is a way that we can say, hey, we really do appreciate you. You've helped us a lot, as we really do appreciate that Modern Day Debate has grown to a significant degree from those Matt Dillahunty debates. A lot of people have heard about us through those Matt Dillahunty debates, so we really do appreciate Matt. And let's see here. Scrolling through the old chat, I'm catching up with you, folks. Be patient with me. Alex Stein, thanks for your super chat, says, what brand of hair gel does Mctune use? 99 rules. I don't know if that's the kind, but I can ask him. And I can... 99 rules doesn't sound like a shampoo, man. But I think I'm teasing him. I think that's his cool phrase. But yes, good to see you, Alex. And Keith Newton, thanks for saying hi. I said, one of the better debates I've seen here lately. Thanks. Thanks, Keith, for your kind words. That's super encouraging. We appreciate your positivity. Seriously, we really do appreciate people's positivity. That means a lot. And Brian Griffin, good to see you, says, what's up, James? How are you doing? I'm doing well. I'm excited, man. I am so excited about the future, you guys. Don't get me wrong. I am absolutely focused on this next debate. I'm pumped about it, but I have to let you know, this style, this strategy that I was just talking about, sorry, this is the last thing, I promise, is it allows us to take bigger risks. And that's why I'm very serious. Like this fall, like we really do want to do something like, maybe an example could be Dr. Fuzz Rana versus Richard Dawkins on Universal Common Ancestry. That would be unreal. Like, that would be epic. And that's something where, like, we actually would be like, hey, we'll reach out to Richard Dawkins and say, hey, what would you be requiring? And if it's something we could reasonably raise in a crowdfund, that's like the next goal. So though that's kind of like the level, though. So like Dinesh D'Souza, Richard Dawkins type people. I don't know if we're yet available to get both of those. Like, I don't know if we can crowdfund that much, but eventually we will get there. I think after we do maybe like 5 crowdfund events, we might be able to do like Dinesh D'Souza versus Richard Dawkins or something, but it depends on this strategy like working. And so far it's worked well, you guys. I mean, like I said, raising $3,000 in our first one in January. Everybody said, James, this is like the hardest month to do it. You're doing it during the holidays, because we did it all during, pretty much all in December. And we still, everybody, thank you guys. I want to say thank you so much for all of those who have supported it, whether you be sharing it or giving into the actual crowdfund. We appreciate it so much, as we were pumped that we overcame together. And folks, we're going to have a lot of, I mean, it's true, Modern Day Debate's a little bit controversial. We host controversial topics, controversial people. It's true. This ain't your grandma's debate channel. But we are going to overcome the world and all of the challenges that they might bring. We are going to prevail and keep doing epic stuff. And so Sideshow Nav says, don't forget Discord. And I do agree, folks. We are really thankful for Let's Farm, as well as Platium, MathPig, and others who have made the Discord epic. That is linked in the description, and I'll pull that up in a second and throw it in the chat as well as I've already thrown in the crowdfund link and the Twitch link. And so we really do hope that you enjoy these debates. Andrew Kroll says, James, not quite the dumpster fire I was looking for, but different is good. And that's what we're working on. We are refreshing things right now, folks. We want to make things different. And so we are excited to let you know we've got a lot of new topics coming up, a lot of new guests coming up, and a lot of new formats coming up as well. We're excited about that, folks. So for example, we've got a brand new topic we've never had tomorrow. That will be really fun. You don't want to miss that. But we're also excited that, like we said, we'll have some of our 3-on-3 debates happening. We'll have some of these more panel type discussion dialogues happening. We've got a dialogue scheduled a week from now, which is going to be Christian versus pagan versus pantheist versus atheist. So 4 people will be on this panel. Jenna Belk will be one, by the way. We're pumped about that. Kay Fellows will be another. We're pumped about that. As well as a new fellow, Derek, I think is his name. It's so hard to remember. Sorry, Derek. And then Jennifer. So that's going to be a really good one. Folks, we're excited. We're bringing in new faces, new topics to keep this channel enjoyable. And so thank you guys so much for all of your support. We are excited about the future. Big things are happening here. Believe me, folks, we're just going to keep doing more epic stuff, and it's all thanks to you guys. You guys make this channel fun. You guys have given so many great debates, and sometimes people are like, hey, James, I don't know if you know about this big name person who likes to debate. You should have him on the channel. And I was like, who? And they're like, I've seen them debate before, so sometimes I have people who are like, I already reached out to them, and they said they're willing to come on Modern Day Debate. And I'm like, you serious? And they're like, yeah, I'm serious. And I'm like, that would be epic. So you guys, in a billion different ways, I want to say thank you so much for all your support. Thanks for all your likes and shares, all that stuff. You guys, I just hope you know how much we appreciate you. This is a melting pot of different people from different walks of life, and so we do appreciate you being with us. I'm going to say hi to more people in the chat. Heat Shield, good to see you. Ophir, good to see you again. Albert Bitcoin, our famous bot, glad you made it. Metal Jacket, thanks for coming by, as well as Be Badass. And Platium, good to see you, says good evening. And Dave Langer, thanks for coming by. Stripper Liquor, good to see you again. What is Truth? Thanks for coming by. Is this the first time I've seen you here? We hope you're doing well. Jedi Master J, glad you made it. And Science Works in Mysterious Ways, good to see you again, as well as YouTube Surgeon General, thanks for coming by. Mandelbrot Set, thanks for coming by. We hope you're doing well. As well as Enhaxed. And Hannah Anderson, thanks for being here. And thanks for all your support. Enhaxed and Hannah Anderson, you being next to each other in the chat, just happen to be some of the more supportive people in the chat, telling people, reminding them to subscribe or to like the video. That we really do appreciate. That really facilitating that kind of culture and that kind of positivity. I've got to say, we appreciate that so much. There are a lot of you who are super positive and supportive, and I just hope you know we appreciate it so much. Be Badass, you're one of them as well. Thank you so much for being so supportive. Good to see you there in the old chat. Mr. P, good to see you. Thanks for coming by, as well as Ozian. Thanks so much for all of your support. We do appreciate it. You're a super positive supporter, and we really do appreciate that. Grumler, good to see you. Metal Jacket, thanks for being here. And Brooke Chavitz, thanks for your support. We really do appreciate it, Brooke. And Peter G, good to see you again, as well as Stripper Liquor. been around for a long time. You've been with us for a while, man. Thanks for all of your support over the literal years. Fox Sushi, good to see you. Thanks for coming by. And let's see here. David Bauer Socks, thanks for being with us. We hope you're doing well. Appreciate you hanging out here. And Denkono, thanks for being here, says Vosh wants the Modern Day Debate belt. That's funny. I thought about doing something like a belt before, but I don't know, maybe someday. But I think Dylan is a fantastic promoter, and I owe Dylan personally because he welcomed us, and we really did appreciate that. We really enjoyed Dylan welcoming us into that epic debate. So I owe Dylan, and I appreciate Dylan. And Brian Stevens says Dinesh debated Matt Dillahunty and just wanted to talk about Obama. That's interesting. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that it's out there. And Michael Lyon, thanks for being here, says thanks for everything you do, James. We appreciate that, Michael Lyon. Your support means a lot. And Sunday Worship says free Albert. Thank you for being here, Sunday Worship. And Kenneth McClain, thanks for coming by. We appreciate you. And Lily Aja, so glad to see you. We appreciate you, and said maybe one day Albert will be a real boy. That's true. Thanks for being with us, as well as Robert Moobley. And by the way, Robert Moobley, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you being here. And Lily Aja, congrats on your associate degree. I'm so excited for you. Congrats, and that's great news. That's just tremendous. So thanks for sharing that with us. We do appreciate it. It's nice to celebrate together, and so thanks for sharing that. Feel free, folks, to share your highs and lows in the chat. We do appreciate what's kind of you sharing what's going on in your life. I hope it feels like a community here. We appreciate you, folks. And so Perfect One says someday we are all going to be saying that we knew James won. That's funny. You guys are like seriously the steam of this channel. You guys make it great, and so thanks for all of your support. And I believe that together we are going to grow, and I really do believe this. Like, I'm very serious. It might take a while. I mean, it took Joe Rogan about 12 years to get where he is. And you might be like, oh, 12 years, that's forever. And it's like, yeah, it is forever. But in a way, life as you go just seems like it keeps moving faster. And so I'm telling you, folks, right now, what are we at? 46,000 subscribers. It's not going to be long, folks. Someday we are going to be probably at 460,000 subscribers, and we're going to be like, wow, remember when we were a little channel with 46,000 subscribers and how much we've grown? The more the merrier, folks. We're excited about having that impact on YouTube. And so, folks, don't bet against us. Believe me, I'm crazy. I mean, I'm following through with this. I plan on doing Modern Day Debate the rest of my life. Like, no joke. I love this channel. I enjoy it. This is fun for me. And if I could right now, I would yell, but my mic, as you know, my mic is all weird tonight. So let me try to figure out, I don't know what it is, but my mic is like, okay, now I think I can yell a little bit more. So want to let you know, I've got some enthusiasm that I can put in my voice now because my mic isn't so low. So let me tell you some things in particular. Mr. P, good to see you. And Tim Pryor, thanks for your super chat. Let's see, chat's moving fast on me. Bear with me. I'm almost caught up though. Tim Pryor said, YouTube is the only place Flat Earth exists, so that's where you got it. That's true. I don't see it often. It's not out there a lot anymore, but it's always a fun time. And hey, you know, that's the thing. A lot of times people are like, James, a lot of times, ironically, the people who are all like, oh, I'm really tolerant and open-minded, and they're like, but why do you host Flat Earth debates? That's so irresponsible. Like, oh yeah, like really irresponsible. I'm sorry, but I'm like, oh my gosh. First is that a lot of these people are like, oh, I'm so tolerant, and it's like, you're tolerant, except you openly will say you won't allow people to have their fair platform to make their case. I mean, hey, we're the real deal, folks. When it comes to tolerance, we live it out. Is that this channel will give everybody their fair shot to make their case on a level playing field. That's the vision of Modern Day Debate. And if other people aren't willing to really walk the walk in terms of being genuinely tolerant, well, hey, that's fine. We'll do it. And Heat Shield, good to see you. Let's see. Thanks for your support, as well as Reswat of Gore, good to see you, as well as Ross Thatcher. Glad you're here. Dave Langer, thanks for all of your support of this channel. You've been hugely supportive as well as Stripper Liquor. Thank you for your positivity. And Brian Stevens, thanks so much. for your huge positivity regarding Modern Day Debate. You've been really kind, and we do appreciate that. More than you know, I appreciate that, so thank you. YouTube Surgeon General says, make a Got Soy t-shirt. We should make some soy shirts, you guys. That would actually be epic. Angel Gamer says, do all of the guests get honorariums like that? How is the amount determined? Not all of the guests do. In fact, I would say it's a really small percent. And so there are different factors in terms of determining honorariums. So one, to be quite honest, like I'll be candid. I'll give you the candid answer first. One is how many people do they bring to the channel? That's true. We have a goal of wanting to grow. And so we're not going to bring somebody that would just be a terrible debater. Like, I don't know, who do you guys think would be a terrible debater that might bring somebody like, that might bring like a lot of subs? Like, if they're a terrible debater, we're like, that's just stupid. We don't want to bring them on. But I will say it is a factor. The other thing is, if they're actually a good debater, that's absolutely essential. So you could say that's like more of the core reason in terms of it. And debate experience makes a big difference as well. Frankly, a lot of debaters don't prep as much as others, and that's a big deal. So our expectation is that they're prepping hard for this debate, and the debate itself is only like 2-3 hours. And so our expectation is that if I were doing a debate, I can tell you when I used to do my in-person debates in front of like hundreds of people, I would prep, oh my gosh, I maybe overdid a little bit, but I would put in serious amounts of time. And by that, I mean like, I don't know, maybe like 100 hours, maybe 50 to 100, somewhere in that ballpark. I put in major time, not just in like prepping the speeches, but reading all of the material that could possibly be relevant. And so there's a lot of factors, but LR, thanks for coming by, says $25,000 to Dawkins for a debate, James. I've asked. Oh, wow. That's more than I expected, frankly. Reservoir of Gore says, your channel is like shampoo in the top shelf. It's head and shoulders above all the others. Thank you for your kind words. That's a good one. I like that. And Dinkono says, can the channel crowdfund a Megan Taylor Greene versus an AOC debate? I mean, that's probably going to be a lot. I think AOC would probably want to add. I have a suspicion that because AOC hasn't debated before, she would be like, okay, if you really want me to debate, you can ask. She's not on the top of my list because she hasn't debated before, frankly. D. Ross, good to see you. Glad you made it. And Dinkono, good to see you. General Balzac, glad you made it. And not only that, but Louis Preciado, glad you made it, says, hi, James. Always nice to hang. Thanks, Louis. Appreciate that. I agree. And Hacks, thank you for your positivity again. I see you there. It says Jelly Wrestling? You can ask Mctune. Maybe he's into that. Ross Thatcher says, cheers, James. Always fun on this neutral platform. Thank you, Ross. And, oh, there is my boy, Oliver Catwell. Good to see you. Thanks for your positivity and your support of the channel. That means more than you know, so thank you. UKPI says, I'd come on a debate. How do I put my name forward? If you email me at moderndaydebate@gmail.com, I can let you know. We have criteria. I got to let you know, folks. One thing we're pushing hard for is we really do encourage people to use their camera. I am not trying to be a meanie, but it is true. This is YouTube, and we do have a podcast. That's true, which we encourage you to check out. Folks, if you have not yet, I'll do it with you. Pull out your phone. Some of you are listening on your phone. Your favorite podcast app, here's mine, Podcast Addict. Okay, there it is. You click it, whatever your favorite podcast app is, folks. No joke. Believe me, we are on it. We're on Pandora. We are on Amazon Music. We are on Audible even. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, folks. We're out there all over the place. So your favorite podcast app, pull it out, look up Modern Day Debate right now, and hit that subscribe button on the podcast, as we're excited, you guys. People have apparently found it useful. And the reason I say that is because I didn't know when I first started uploading podcasts. I was like, will people listen to this? I don't know. I mean, we're on YouTube. But sure enough, like on average, it's like we're close to 1,400 downloads per show now, which is really, I've read that's good. I don't know a lot about podcasts. I'm still new to it, but I had read that like we're actually the podcast is like doing really well in its first year, and we haven't even made it to a year. I think we're at like 10 months, and so we're probably going to be an average of at least somewhere in the range of 1,400 to 1,500 downloads per show by the time a year anniversary comes by. So it's growing, you guys, and that's encouraging because we want it to be useful. We want it to be valuable. And one thing people tell me, they're like, I listen to it while I'm cleaning the house. I listen to it while I'm long drives, commutes, exercising even. They're working their brain as they're working their body. And so people have told me they love that it's long form content. So you can just let it play and, it's not like a 20-minute podcast. And those are good too, don't get me wrong. But they like that you can just let it play and for hours you can just be driving. And so Hannah Anderson, thanks for your support, says, before you all leave, remember, please to hit that like and subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. So thanks so much. We appreciate that. And Angel Gamer, it says, sorry I made fun of you for Juicy. No, it's totally cool. I knew you were teasing in a nice way. I didn't take any, I didn't think of any sort of bad intention. You're funny. You're kind. You have a big heart. Thank you, though. Trillion, good to see you. And thanks for coming by, as well as Be Badass is excited for the vegan debate. Just made vegan steaks, LOL. That's cool. I'm excited for it too. I still have to confirm that with Vegan Gains. Just to let you know, I think he will be up for it, but it depends on his schedule. So that it could be another date. Forgive me if it doesn't happen on Tuesday. That's the goal, but I asked him for that date and now I'm waiting. But Grumler said, stay safe. Thank you, Grumler. We hope you do too. And Reservoir of Gore, nasty guy, says James and T-Jump mud wrestling in a paddling pool full of soy sauce. Nasty guy. Believe me, T-Jump might be into that, but not this guy. But just poor T-Jump, always throwing him under the bus. We love T-Jump. I looked the other day. You guys want to take a guess? This will be a fun game. Guess how many times T-Jump has been on the channel? I actually looked it up the other day, and you'll be blown away by how many times. Brian Griffin says, how can we be sure you're not an advanced robot? That's a good question. Yeah. But touche. And let's see. Grumler says, Joe Rogan was a celebrity already, 100K this year. That's right. The word on the streets was that Rogan made 100,000? Oh, you're saying 100K like subscribers for this channel? It's possible. I certainly think we'll get to like 50. 50 is for... I'd be incredibly surprised if we didn't get 50. Maybe, I think we could like probably get 60, maybe 70,000 by the end of the year, depending on what epic events we host. If we do get somebody like I said, maybe Dinesh D'Souza versus Bosch or something, it could be gigantic. I think that it's possible we get to 100K, but it's a hard one now, but who knows. Sideshow Nav, thanks for being here. And let's see. Ross, UKPI. Thanks, UKPI says, love the channel, James. Thanks for your positivity. Seriously, that means a lot. I do appreciate you saying that. And I see someone with cool, they have cool symbols, and they say, very based, James. Thank you so much for your kind words. And then, thanks, Brooke Chavez, for your kind words. Says, we love you, James. That means a lot. Thank you, Brian Stevens, as well. Who says, Modern Debate is awesome. We appreciate that. And Latter-day Saint says, James, how have you been? How have you been? You still flatter me on the regular. I'm just saying, though. Thanks for coming by, Latter-day Saints. We're glad you made it. And let's see who else. Brian Stevens says, maybe have a, quote, a conversation with AOC would be interesting. Chat would be crazy. It would be interesting. It would be epic. She's on Twitch, right? We'll see, but I don't know. I don't think she's going to go for it. But Oliver Catwell says, do you have an Amazon wish list where folks can donate equipment, etc.? Oh, I should come up with that. That's a good idea. We're starting to get a lot together. There's a light. Let me get back to you on that. I totally appreciate that. So thank you so much for being willing to support. We are excited about that, as we will be looking into new cool stuff. I would like to get a camera, because I'm embarrassed to say the camera that I bought, and I showed you guys this one. Basically, some cameras, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know this. There we go. Okay. I'm embarrassed to say that This camera that I bought this when I was on the trip for the Matt Dillahunty versus David Wood debate. This is like a legit fancy camera. Well, actually, it's for me. I mean, a really good camera. I think people usually get they like put like $500 into it or something, or $1,000. This was like $330 for me though, which is huge. I was like, oh my gosh, and I found out it doesn't work for streaming. Isn't that terrible? I looked at all the different ways to try to figure out how I could. So long story short, I plan on reselling it, and I will hopefully get a camera that I think I can get an even cheaper camera that will allow us to stream, like live stream through it, so the picture will be even better. And so long story short, thanks for asking, and I'll get back to you on that. Kono says T-Jump has been here at least 50 times. Flatter-Day Saints says 33 times. General Balzac is the closest. He says 82. Let's see who else we have. Anybody else guessing? Let's see here. Fish Frog Dolphin says 30. Fear of the Weeper, thanks for being with us, says 420. Oliver Catwall says, or his chair. Oh, that's true. His chair has been here just as many times. Pretty much. The Stolen Land says, I want to know why I was timed out. Folks, yeah, Flat Earth Aussie, remember, like, unless somebody is harassing one of the speakers, or if they are using hate speech, like, Stolen Land, was it you who timed him out? Like, or Flat Earth Aussie, did you time out the Stolen Land? For real, we are becoming more strict about what the mods are able to do. We want to let you know that. And so moderators, please, Sideshow Bob, who I think is in the chat, is a great person to talk to about what we are up to in terms of like the moderators. I should say what they're up to. Is we do want to have everybody on the same page with moderating. And so do want to encourage you. There are these rules that Sideshow Bob he's volunteered a ton of his time to write up all these rules. And that's something that we want the moderators, we want to encourage them to. Sideshow Bob, if you happen to have if you're able to mention to us the link, I want to plug the Discord and put that in the description. Is basically, we do have a Modern Day Debate Discord, which I will put into the description. And so let me pull that up right now. Want to encourage you to check out the Discord, as well as moderators. The mods meet on Discord regularly, and I'm putting that into the live chat right now. If you didn't know, we do have a Discord. Did you guys not know about that? Like, for real, we do. So if you think Discord is hip, I would highly encourage you to check it out. Grumler says T-Jump in his chair maybe 50 times on the channel. Grumler said, okay, I say 49 times T-Jump on the channel. And then thanks Platium for encouraging those other mods. And let's see. YouTube Surgeon General, you were really here before we had 10 subscribers, like literally 10. I was thinking that today. I remember there was for a while I was like kind of chilling at 30 subscribers for a while. And it was like a plateau, or it's like, how do I grow? So that's funny though. But Renee Samard, thanks for coming by, says James, much vibes sending your way, brother. Thanks for saying that. We appreciate that. And Oliver Catwall says Craigslist. Yeah, I might sell it on Craigslist. I would take it back to Walmart, but they won't take back electronics after a year. Oliver Catwall says 154,000. Close. T-Jump has been on this channel 78 times. Isn't that crazy? That is wild. And so, let's see. Flatter-Day Saints, let's see, talking smack to Reservoir of Gore. But yeah, want to say thank you everybody for hanging out here. Let me know in the chat, what are your thoughts? What are the ways we can make your life better? Or another thing that I'm seriously pumped to get feedback on as we're trying to improve it is Lucy Miller. Thanks for coming by. Lucy says hello again. We're glad you're back, Lucy. Thanks for dropping in. And yeah, Grumler, you're right. 78 times is crazy. Isn't it funny? I can't believe it. Now, maybe like 2 or 3 of those I didn't moderate, maybe. So, but I've been here at least 70 times with T-Jump. So that is crazy. So funny, but yeah. And Stripper Liquor says, I can't get on Discord right now. Please join my pity party. Oh, that's a bummer. Sorry to hear that. Folks, I am like working on learning how to get into Discord. Amazing, Oliver Catwall says. And it is very amazing. And we want to let you know, though, folks, we are excited about this. Let us know, are there cool perks that we could offer in the crowdfund that we're doing right now? So That is linked at the top of the chat. Is there something we could add that you're like, yeah, this would actually be like a cool thing? And the one challenge is we don't want to rely too much on products like Teespring stuff, like t-shirts. We do have a t-shirt in there already, which is cool. And we have the hoodie and we've got the coffee mug, but we don't want to rely too much on it, because one of the challenging things is that it basically, we're thinking of like other things where people don't have to, basically it adds like postage costs, and we don't want that. So we're thinking like one of the things a lot of people have said, hey, that's a great idea, is the meet and greet with the guests before the show. We're excited about that. Maybe in the future, if it's somebody with like a popular book, we would ask if they'd be willing to sign like 5 copies for people to like receive as a perk. That I think would be cool. But that, of course, like I don't know if Matt or Kenny have written books. I think Kenny's written books, but I don't know if a lot of people would be stoked to read them if they're not into apologetics. So some people don't like to read apologetics, and so that's a tricky point. Just like it'd be a tricky point if it's like, you could say atheist apologetics, so to speak. Some people would be like, I don't really get into that. So Brooke Chevis says, just be you, James. That's all we need. Thank you, Brooke, for your positivity. And Dinkono says, suggestion, when you place a timer for the debates, can you post an on-screen timer for the chat to see? Maybe. I mean, it's a little bit challenging. Maybe. It depends. If it's like longer timers, I'm okay with it. But if you want one for like when we do the 2-minute intervals, I'm a little bit like, I might need a little bit more production assistance for that. Reservoir of Gore says, modern day debate juice boxes. That would be cool. That's funny. Ice cream bars. Modern day debate ice cream bars would be epic, like the WWE ice cream bars. Dinkono says, suggestion, when you place a timer for the... Oh, we got that. B Badass says, so what are you looking more for then? So yeah, so one example is like stuff that's like more closely tied to the debaters, where, for example, like I said, if it's a signed book, what else could they theoretically sign? Maybe like if both would be willing to sign something. You've got to think about that. Reservoir of Gore says, modern day debate ringtones. That's funny. Let's see. Modern day Fox Sushi says, modern day debate edibles, pre-rolls, etc. Hook it up. Pre-rolls. What are pre-rolls? Like, I don't know what you mean, but I want to hear more. And Oliver Catwell says, maybe a donor can have his or her favorite quote read during the podcast within reason. That's an interesting, we thought about doing that. Like maybe like putting up their picture at the end even. And we offered it as a perk last time, but nobody wanted their picture up, and that we can't blame them. But I think it was also like really, it was like a high perk that was like, I don't know if you'd really feel like you were getting, so we might have to like lower it in terms of like put it as like a smaller perk. So Tanner Formosa says, a gavel. That is actually a cool idea. I really do like that. If there's a gavel, we could get the modern day debate like logo on. Seriously, that's funny. I like it. Actual Socialist Trash says, why do I always miss the debate? I don't know, but your debate I am currently setting up, and it should be a juicy one. Actual Socialist Trash. I'm waiting on your potential partner, or actually I'm waiting on not your partner. I think it was one of your opponents. Michael Lyons says, you should have Eric Dubai for Flat Earth. I can get him on. Okay, I'm serious, Michael. If you can get him on, I'm willing to give it a shot. So, Michael, if you email me at Modern Day Debate, that's how you can reach me, moderndaydebate@gmail. So, kind of standard. That is something that I'm open to. So, I am open to it if you let me know. And Flatter Day Saint said, love for you to give out free levels or rulers for measuring the curvature. That's funny, Flatter Day. Good to see you. Maybe some Modern Day Debate hats. And Moomin Rider says, darn, I missed another one. Luckily, I can catch it on the Modern Day Debate podcast. You can. And you guys, I'm excited. We have been putting out some absolutely epic debates on Modern Day Debate. Just this morning, I released the Modern Day Debate episode of the debate on whether or not Noah's Ark has already been found. You guys, that's a cool debate. That one did really well. People really enjoyed it, which is encouraging. So, want to let you know, folks, if you think if you'd get a kick out of that topic, namely whether or not Noah's Ark has been discovered, it was a tag team debate, 2 fellows. arguing that it had been discovered, and 2 fellows arguing, no, we don't think Noah's Ark has been found. So that, again, is on the Modern Day Debate podcast. I just uploaded it today, so it'll be at the very top of your list if you subscribe to our podcast. And also, though, if you maybe already, you're like, James, I already have Modern Day Debate on my favorite podcast app. Can you see right there? That's my Modern Day Debate, because I do sometimes try to listen to debates later because my attention is sometimes kind of split during the debate. But long story short, please rate us then. If you've already subscribed to the Modern Day Debate podcast, you can give us a rating, and that definitely helps. So for real, we do appreciate that. And I'm excited that I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of ratings have been given. I didn't know. I think it was like we have 54 on Apple podcasts. So please do keep them coming. We do appreciate that support. That really does mean a lot, you guys. And that helps us. So the stolen land, I think I saw somebody in the chat the other day. They were like, oh, I discovered your, what is it called? They said, I discovered your, they were like, I'm here for the first time during a YouTube live debate after I discovered your podcast. So people are now, the cool thing is the podcast is growing so that we actually have some people who find the podcast first. And then they're like, oh, it's like cool, Modern Day Debate, a podcast. And they're like, oh, they've got a YouTube channel too. And that's, of course, where we started, is YouTube. And so I'm like, oh, that's so cool that it's like working bi-directionally now. So we've got people finding us both ways. So that's cool. And Grumler, thanks for your kind words, says, James, you were great. Stay like you are. Much love from Rich and Hyde. Oh, thanks, Rich and Hyde. I appreciate that, a.k.a. Grumler. Thanks for your support. That means a lot. Thanks for your positivity. That really is encouraging. And Tanner Formosa, good to see you. Glad you were here. And then Fish Rock Dolphin says, yes, ringtones with James saying, I'm pumped. I'm stoked. Very stoked. A lot of stokedness around here, you guys. A lot of juiciness as well. YouTube Surgeon General says, Modern Day Debate collector's cards of debaters. Oh, that actually is like a cool idea. That would actually be kind of fun. And it would be so fun. Seriously, I just love the idea. Let me actually like write these down because I just like it. Modern Day Debate. You guys are fun. I do appreciate your ideas. You guys make this channel fun, I'm telling you. I'm just a guy shooting emails in the background. Serious. A MDD gavel. A MDD debaters collector's cards set. That's a really cool idea. But yeah, I'm just a dude sending out emails, folks, I'm telling you. And so thanks, Reswad of Gorses, Modern Day Debate, James, skins for Fortnite or Call of Duty. I don't know what that means. What do you mean, skins? Michael Lyon says, I'll email you. Thank you, Michael, for doing that. Mr. P says, James, do you have an excess of carrots in your diet? You look like you've got a serious beta-carotene problem. It's the lighting. I've got to fix it. Hopefully a new camera. Once we get the new camera, I'm pumped that I'll get there. It'll be nice. I do have a light, a good light that has come, and I'm planning on setting it up soon. So I'm really excited about that. It's just that it's so big. I got to figure out how to set it up exactly. But it's a good little challenge to have, and I'll definitely get it set up. And it's that I do all this at my office, and I'm worried that somebody's going to come in here and be like, your office looks more like a studio. So it kind of does look more like a studio, but I think I'm just going to set up the light and I can just pull it out each time. It's not a big deal. It's I'm excited for it. And I've got a pretty good idea. I got to get a second light. So, cause I want to have I've got a plan though. I've got a plan now. And then Fish Frog Dolphin says, yes, ringtones with James saying I'm pumped. Oh, that's right. You got that. And then Resort of course says MDD, James skins. Oh yeah, I didn't get that. And then let's see. Stripper Liquor says, see y'all later. Don't forget to break out the ham grenades. No doubt about it, my dear friend Stripper Liquor. And Tanner Formosa says, love watching and or listening to everything. Been subscribed for a long time. Thanks, Tanner, for your being subscribed, man. Thanks for being with us for so long. We're excited about the future. And I'm for real, folks. We're pumped about all the stuff that we have coming up here. I'm determined, folks. And we are going to find out new ways of doing new cool things. For real, this channel, we're going to do big and epic stuff. So, Mr. P says, stop talking, James. Give us more Erica. I agree. And I talked to Erica today about a potential upcoming debate. So that's cool. And then YouTube Surgeon General says, ARC debates like that are fun. I agree. They are fun. Thanks. Denkono says, have a good night, chat and James. Thank you. And then UK PI says, top perk could be get Delaney to do the whole debate wearing a dog collar and cassock. I don't know what those are. I mean, I know what a dog collar is. I don't know why a man would wear one, but a cassock I'm new to. And then Mr. P says, James, in the future, would you consider having a permanent co-host? Namely, Kyle Curtis is looking for a new place. That's hilarious. Okay. You have a dark sense of humor. Okay. I don't have anything against Kyle. I got to be honest. I always thought if Kyle came back out of the woodwork and started putting videos on what is it, Non Sequitur Show, I would say I wish that I could help. I would say that I wish it were the case. This is a hypothetical scenario because you guys are, otherwise you'll be like, wait, what, James? I wish that he would make up with Steve and make amends with everyone who has been wronged by him. It looks like the writing looks like it's on the wall. Kyle seems to me that Kyle has people to apologize to. If Kyle made right with all those people, I would be excited if the Non Sequitur Show started back up, and I would promote their debates, and I would be like, hey, I kind of try to help you get steam and kind of pick up your momentum again. I don't know if Kyle's going to do that, but it's an ideal world. I wish that he would kind of make up with Steve, but I don't know if that's going to be happening. I don't know. So now, maybe it's idyllic. Maybe it's just not realistic. But Reservoir, maybe I'm a little naive. Reservoir, of course, says a skin is gamer speak for an outfit on a character or a weapon. Oh, okay. A skin is it's gamer speak for an outfit. A skin on a character or weapon. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. I play games, I play old Nintendo 64 games in my leisure. Does that count? Am I a gamer? Like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, the greatest game ever played and made. Shadows of the Empire. Those are my kind of games. The new ones are too hard for me. They're too confusing. It's very, very difficult. It's like, I don't know why I'm overwhelmed when I try to play them. I'm like, this is hard. Oliver Catwell says, as a psychologist, if they say your office looks like a studio, you can just say, quote, that sounds important to you. Tell me more. That's funny. I like that. That's good. It's a classic. And Ozian says, can we get Latter-day Saints to debate Matt Dillahunty for 30 minutes? That's funny. I don't know if that's going to happen, but Frisch Frog Dolphin says, James, if you get any person in the world to debate, who would it be? The big names out there, the people that are fun to listen to, whether you think their views are right or wrong, Ben Shapiro is fast on his feet. He's a fast speaker. He's got a lot of reading he's done. I'm not saying his arguments are sound, and I'm not saying his arguments are sound. I'm not saying they're sound. I'm not saying they're sound, and I'm not saying they're not sound. But, Ben Shapiro would be a pretty, epic debater to have on. And he's got a lot of energy. I mean, that little guy can go. So that'd be pretty cool. Harry P. Ness, praise God, says, cassock is traditionally priestly garment. Oh, thanks for letting me know that, Harry P. And glad you're here, Harry P. Thanks for coming by. And Native Atheist, good to see you again. Let's see. So it says, don't give Kyle your passwords, James. Okay, I won't. Ozian says, come on, James, you know what? You want to see Latter-day Saints debate Matt for 30 minutes, LOL. Yeah, right. That's interesting. But Ozian says, my avatar on here is my skin on Minecraft. Oh, okay. Huh. That's cool. I'm learning the gamer stuff. But let's see. YouTube Surgeon General says, Shannon would have been great. We would like to have Shannon on again in the future. We'll see. I mean, she's said no to a lot of the ones I've mentioned, but I know that she also prefers dialogues more than debates. And sometimes modern day debate has been perceived of as rowdy. Sometimes I feel like I'm the black sheep. And we're not even, I don't know, are we that bad? I don't know. But Fox, I get pressure from every side though. It's funny, every side has people, but anyway, Shannon hasn't pressured me, to be fair. She's never said anything like that. Renee Samard says, James, again, much respect. See you next time. Thank you, Renee. We're glad you hang out here. Thanks for being positive, too. Thanks for your kind words. Coffee Troll says, James is a lovable boomer. You're right about that. One who plays Nintendo 64 a lot. Chris Gammon says, hey, James, how you doing, man? Been listening off and on tonight. Chris, glad you made it, man. Pumped you were here. I'm doing well. This is a fun debate. I enjoyed it, and it's been fun to just hang out with people. I think people enjoyed tonight's debate, and it was actually pretty, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was respectful. People got along. I enjoyed that. That made me happy. And it was, yeah, it was controlled chaos. A little bit of chaos, you know, it was high energy, but it's almost suspenseful. It almost felt like there's suspense during it. But anyway, it was fun. Let's see. Ozian says, Indiegogo isn't getting any love during the stream. $3 times 500 people would get it pretty close. That's true. It would get us pretty close to the absolute, like the actual goal. And so we do want to encourage you folks, please do consider jumping in on that, as we are excited about it. It's going to be epic. And like I said, you guys, if we keep using the Indiegogo strategy, the crowdfund strategy, if you guys want to see, I mean, like, who are the debaters you guys want to see? The ones that you're like, man, it'd be so epic if we got Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris or you name it. Whoever those are, folks, I've got to let you know, if the Kickstarter strategy keeps doing well, and this is why I would say, hey, consider throwing a few bucks in if you've never done a crowdfund before, especially. Like, it's like a few bucks. It's the price of a cup of coffee. And it's a way of supporting the channel such that we eventually could maybe get people like Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, whoever you want. Is for real, folks. It's something we really could do, as we want to, as you have seen, we want to basically bump it by maybe like 1,000 each time. And it won't be long. For the next one, we might actually shoot for like 5,000 and go for like a really big name person. And so it's like a few bucks. Like, if you haven't already, I'd say, hey, that crowdfund link is at the very top of the chat right now, and it's also in the description box. And so just want to encourage you folks. This is like, hey, it's a great way to, if you've ever felt like, hey, this channel has been useful to you, and you're like, yeah, I was like, it's been, giving me some free entertainment. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's encouraging to me. And I would say, hey, if you want to help us keep doing that, and even to a higher degree, getting a, bigger name people, then I say, folks, like, hey, like, if we keep doing this, that strategy of using crowdfunding to get bigger name people on and kind of headline debates with these big time people, like, that's a really cool strategy. So it allows us to take those bigger risks. Antonio Iniguez, let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Thank you, Antonio, for being here. Says, hello, what you guys do is pretty great. More debate equals better ideas and a better society. Thanks, Antonio. That's seriously encouraging. I do appreciate that. Your positivity means a lot. So also said, try to get Tim Pool on. That would be epic. And that's the thing, is like, yeah, I mean, Steven Crowder, the Stolen Land said, and then Stolen Land said Brandon Tatum. That would be cool. So like, that's the kind of thing. It's like, if you guys haven't already, it's like you throwing in a few bucks into the crowdfund makes that more likely. They will actually be able to host like Steven Crowder or Tim Pool or whoever else in the future. And so I do really want to encourage you, if you haven't yet, is like $3, like price of a cup of coffee. I'm like, meh, And then Chris Gammon says, oh, what N64 games do you like? I especially like Zelda Ocarina of Time. And I also like Shadows of the Empire. I've been playing a lot of Rogue Squadron. I'm going to play Naboo Starfighter. And I think it's called Escape from Naboo is one of the names of it's kind of like Rogue Squadron, but it's episode 1 setting. Episode 1 Pod Racer, I beat that as like a couple weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. And so, yeah. Chris Gammon says, put on your Daisy Dukes and get to washing cars, James. That's funny. Hey, I'm determined, folks. Believe me, I am absolutely determined. We are going to make it. We are going to absolutely make this fundraising goal, you guys. And I'm excited, though, that we're actually a little ahead of schedule, which is exciting. Like, I'm absolutely determined. We are going to make this work. And so we do appreciate you guys helping the channel grow that way. And we really are. I'm working hard on getting new topics, new faces, new formats in this next month especially, and onward, to kind of keep this channel fresh and kind of keep doing cool and fun stuff. And General Balzac says you should actually try to get on Pool's channel, though you'd have to give personal opinions. And then they said, a man after my own heart. I might, I don't know. I think Tim Pool would probably want me to be bigger, but I mean, maybe. And then that's the trick, is that, I mean, I do think maybe I'd have an interesting perspective in terms of being able to talk about like what academia is like. Getting my PhD, I have noticed that there's some interesting stuff here. One thing I don't like is that, yeah, so there are some things that I would be willing to agree and disagree with Tim Pool on. And there are some things that I feel like I could take a stance on and say, here's my thoughts on this. So maybe someday, I don't know. I mean, I've got nothing against, I'm not like trying to like think of like, oh, I want to dunk on Tim Pool or something. I don't want to dunk on anybody. I think I'd want to, if anything, my main thing is I'd want to get people thinking like, oh, okay, that's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of it that way. But Mr. P said, Shannon and James have good chemistry, a regular pair of psychopaths. I mean, psychologists. That's funny. Yeah, I do. I enjoy Shannon. I actually hope she's doing well. And so I do appreciate her. So yeah, we do. I'll have to reach back out to her to see. I think she loves psychology topics. So that would be the most fun topic. But folks, want to say thanks everybody. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for making this channel fun. Thanks for making this a blast. Thanks for all your support. And so we will be back tomorrow night. That's the plan. And so that is going to be, as I had mentioned, we are pumped about this. Stuart Nettle and David C. Smalley. You guys don't want to miss it. That's going to be a fun one. So be sure to tune in for that. And so we also, let me tell you about some of the other upcoming debates. If you somehow didn't know about these, you guys, I don't know if you ever check out our page, like the Modern Day Debate page has all of, or at least a lot of our upcoming debates. We put them on there, and I'll tell you guys some of the secret ones that haven't been announced yet. So one, tomorrow, if we don't find evidence of God, is it a problem for theists? That's going to be a fun one. Then also, Demon Mama versus T-Jump, that is going to be coming up on Monday. Then it's scheduled for Tuesday, but I still have to get confirmation from Vegan Gains on whether or not we'll have a debate on whether or not veganism is an ethical obligation. Then there's one that I'm scheduling with JF, as well as, I will say it, it's not confirmed yet, but I am scheduling one with JF and with Surfs TV. We are in talks. So don't say anything to either of the debaters, because the debaters don't like it when I announce a debate before it's actually confirmed. But I am talking to Surfs TV, Lance, and JF about them debating capitalism versus socialism. So that's going to be a fun one. Then, you guys, if you haven't seen it, you have to click to all the way to the end on our upcoming debates playlist, is Dr. Michael Humer versus Dr. Ben Burgess on whether or not taxation is theft. That's coming up May 19th. So that's only 5 days away. That's coming fast. And then also Dr. Michael Brown versus Apostate Prophet on whether or not there is a God. So that's going to be cool. You don't want to miss that either, you guys. And then let's see. Ahmed Hassam, thanks for coming. Thanks for being with us. Says, let's see. I don't know who Apis is, but let's see. Ahmed Hassam, we were glad you. Oh yeah, Ahmad. I think you're trying to insult one of the speakers. We want to encourage people to attack the arguments rather than the person. So do want to give you a heads up on that. But we are glad you're here, Ahmad, and we want to let you know that we hope you are willing to join us on that. And then UKPI says Simon Dan versus Nathan Thompson. That would be epic for sure. I don't know if Simon would be up to it, but I mean, I'd be willing to host it if you wanted. And so that would be a juicy one. So yeah, we got a lot of upcoming debates though. So check those out. It's going to be fun, guys. Thanks for all of your support, all your love. We do appreciate you. And so thinking about, let's see, what is it? I'm trying to remember. Sunday, we don't have one. That would be epic. But Sunday is one of the few days where we won't have a debate this week. And so thank you guys for your love and support. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care. And I will see you. I'm excited to see you tomorrow.